Chapter 41, Blurg. Ahahaha, let's go even higher and set a new record. Oh. They soared through the skies at a dizzying speed. Apparently it wasn't a lie when she said we were traversing at a relaxed pace earlier. I did wish for it to be true if possible. Though I could feel us coursing at high speed, there was no undue strain on my body. That said, it feels really scary to travel at this near illusionary high speed. I'm picking up enemy signals. Hold on tight, Violet. What do you mean hold on tight? I'm already holding on for dear life. I know that I won't fall, but I can't bring myself to loosen my grip. Besides, what enemy? Wyvern. Wyvern. It's a B-class monster that makes its home in the skies or mountains in sparsely populated areas. The whirlwind created by a flap of its wings can level buildings. The fire it breathes is potent enough to scorch a fully armored adventurer. It's a monster whose talons can shred the arms of a human as if they were paper. Such a fearsome monster spotted us and swooped in to attack us. You're one of the weakest among the class. Don't even think you can defeat the new and improved me. Ms. Robot didn't seem in the least flustered. On the contrary, I could feel her maintain her composure as she extended her right arm towards the wyvern. Her arm let out consecutive shrill sounds and started flashing red. How do I put this? The wyvern looked pitiful as one would moments before being swallowed whole by a dragon. Maximum cluster cannon, fire. Something shot out. Phew. It takes a couple of days to charge a shot, and frankly, I wasn't even sure how to get it to work. It's much too powerful. So I don't use it on the surface. Never use that on ground. A shockwave as big as the wyvern quite literally swallowed it whole and vanished into thin air. This person. Isn't she a little too strong? There. The nuisance is gone. Nuisance, you say? A wyvern of that size would need a whole platoon of soldiers to take down. Any adventurer capable of hunting it alone would gain instant fame, but apparently Ms. Robot wasn't the least interested. More importantly, what did she mean by nuisance? The sky looked stunning. A blue blanket that stretched seemingly endlessly. Despite how high up we were or how fast we were going, I wasn't afraid, and the vast expanse of the sky with nary a soul around strangely made me feel like I wasn't all alone in the world. Looking down, the academy I once attended and the city that was once my home looked so small in the distance. Seriously, they looked tiny. Violet, the definition of normal is very subjective. CLO must have told you. I'm sure that he wishes to embrace all of you, rather than wondering how she knew about that. I felt like she simply knew CLO well enough to understand that he would say something like that. Is it because of the difference in how long we've both known CLO? It makes me feel just a bit frustrated. He did. And that's exactly why I'm in a limbo. Does someone with a shameful past like me have the right to fall in love or be loved? Am I simply not taking advantage of Lord CLO's kindness? Can't you try to accept yourself as you are? That's only allowed for the talented. I'm not one. If not for the noble family I was born into, I would probably be considered talentless. To compensate for that, I've spent all my life keeping up appearances, trying to turn a lie into reality. I have been exposing my vulnerable side to Lord CLO, even though I'd rather not. You need to put in adequate effort in order for someone to approve of you. Even that girl born with a gift put in the required effort to refine her skills, only after which His Highness grew to like her. After accepting each other for who they are. Which is what leads me to worry. So, I need to put in more effort than I did in the past to make up for the time I loved someone else, and after learning more about Lord CLO, I'll tell him my feelings, just please shut up. However, Ms. Robot dismissed my worries to my face. You just like to complicate things, Violet. Why are you throwing in the towel, without professing your feelings? Please stop running away and hiding behind your past when you know that's bullshit. That's just highfalutin. Saying things like escape your past, treasure your happy memories and look to the future. And what's so wrong with that? Ms. Robot continued to speak at length as if I wasn't permitted to chime in. Her words gave me a clear view of her sense of self, which made me a little envious. Unlike those that never attempt anything but simply throw ideals around, while they grumble and moan when things don't go their way by blaming the absurdity of the world or the people around them, you try to attain a better version of yourself. Then, carried on Ms. Robot. CLO told you that he wants to love and embrace all you, including your past. If he didn't mean it, he wouldn't order a ring for you, shield you from people you find uncomfortable to be around, or throw a party for you. Even though such happiness is rather rare, you're still trying to run away from it when it's right in front of you. Just what more are you looking for? Ms. Robot declared that it wasn't the kind of happiness that can only be attained by sacrificing someone. That it wasn't the kind of happiness one feels upon taking another's life or the elusive kind induced by drugs or the happiness gained by intruding on another's life and robbing them of theirs. That it's something you only need to reach out to obtain. So, why not say it out loud? That you will do as you please and be happy. That the past with them is just that and nothing more. That they should regret casting you aside, if anything. She uttered that I should declare that I have the right to be happy without worrying about what others may think. Now, here, where nobody and nothing will stop you. Forget your status and spit out everything that you have piled up inside you, she said. You sure can speak your mind, Ms. Robot. You didn't have to preach my ear off. With nothing but fancy words, are you trying to bask in the glory of your perch up above? Arg, damn it. In this place where there's no other soul around, my only partner spoke everything on her mind and at length. This only makes me, the one making things complicated for herself, look like an idiot. Shit. Fine, then I'll say it, watch me, I'll scream it. I certainly have at least one or two things I'd like to get off my chest. Vermilion, you big moron. I turned to the side and shouted at the top of my lungs as I had never done before. I was rather surprised at the volume I could produce. Getting obsessed with a girl like that. Despite knowing that she's deceiving Ash, Chartreuse and Nickel. That's right. Despite knowing that she doesn't maintain appropriate distance from other men, he still chose her. Can anyone blame me for being jealous of her? She has the kind of charm that made even His Highness fall for her. I'll become the kind of woman you'll regret giving up and show off my close relationship with Lord CLO. Even if you regret it then, don't expect me to ever become yours. Yeah, I'll become someone amazing. I never loved you, my ass. Did you really expect anyone to take your side now, my ass? Hate to break it to you, but I have someone who put a ring on my finger and read his vows, and surprisingly, I have a son as well. I swore on the gold ring that I'd stay by Lord CLO's side. This vow is a sacred one. So I'll stay beside him and be happy. Then, I'll be able to see your speechless faces as your hopes of seeing me miserable come crumbling down. I look forward to it. However, but I really did love you back then. I was happy, and that love gave me the support I badly needed. If it wasn't for my love for you, my upbringing, all the tough lessons I had to sit through, would have messed me up even more. I don't want to deny those feelings. Even if you never loved me, I didn't lose heart and worked hard because I was doing it for you. But I'm now Lord CLO's wife and we're only just getting to know each other. It's been 2 months since we met. It's also been 2 months since we got married. It's way too short a time to decide if someone is the person with whom you want to spend the rest of your life together and to also know everything about them. However, everyone all together. I'll become happy with my family as Violet Heartfield. I declared, in a voice that was the loudest ever. Ah, that feels good. I still have a ton of worries. Like, will Lord CLO fall in love with me? Will I be able to treat Gray like a son when he's only 4 years younger than me, and etc. Like, I don't mind apologizing for my reckless behavior, but is there a way I could avoid apprehension because I'd really like to punch His Highness in the face just once? However, I won't hesitate anymore. I'm going to be more assertive with Lord CLO. I've decided to fall in love and make him fall in love with me. For now. I want us to kiss already. Things veered off track last time and we didn't end up doing it. But I want our first kiss to be romantic. Come to think of it. Forgive me, Ms. Robot. Something wrong. With the lips I just associated with kissing, I suddenly remembered. Even without the sudden epiphany, I knew that I was feeling awful remembering my past just a minute ago. The lunch from earlier, coupled with sudden zigzag motion and the screaming just now. I feel like throwing up. Maximum cluster cannon. The target is most likely to die. Chapter 42, Nobody to retort. I don't know how to say this, but sorry. No. It is fine. Due to various things happening, we landed a little outside Shiki. Ms. Robot took really good care of me. I wish she held back on suddenly accelerating and killing monsters with a single blow, but it became an unexpectedly good opportunity for me to let out the things I had pent up. The only things I threw up were the words that cut off my feelings for His Highness and the thoughts of wanting to become happy. Other than that, I haven't thrown up. Yet. Well. I did. Speak. Like. I was. Better. But. Even. I have. Things. I am. Afraid. Of. In. Fact. I am. Afraid. To. Show. My. Real. Face. Ha. Where's the coming from after lecturing me so much? I mean. You. Were. Being. Wishy-washy. So. It. Irritated. Me. You know, I'm sorry. I can't admonish her when she says this. Besides, I've heard that Ms. Robot doesn't want to show her face because her parents and the surrounding people shamed her for her appearance. It must have been similar to a trauma, like in my case, and her current form could be taken as a way of her facing forward and a reflection of her character. So, what will you be doing from now on? Ms. Robot asked me. From now on. From now on, huh? I feel somewhat refreshed, so I want to actively pursue Lord CLO. But when I think about my classmates and the sources of the trauma being here, I lose my nerve. I feel like if I suddenly show them that I'm close to Lord CLO, it'll create issues for him too. Ash and Chartreuse are from exceptionally influential families even among the nobles in the kingdom. As long as they still resent me, I cannot provoke them carelessly. I should probably apologize to them at some time, but that doesn't have to be now. So, when I go back home without being seen by them. Well, once I get home, I'll hug Lord CLO first and foremost. Oh. And I'll press my chest against him. I feel like that would happen naturally as you hug him. But it is fine. Men should like that. After hugging him for a few seconds, I will get away for a bit. Get away. And I'll strip. Why would you do that? I also don't know why things would come to that either. My mate had said to me that since I had such valuable assets attached to my body, all men would fall easily as soon as I got naked in front of them. Thanks to that, I had refrained from exposing myself until now. Honestly, I only understand that self-appeal is something like that. Behaving well and resolutely at the social gatherings and the academy is surely different from acting proactive in this kind of situation. Should you not just kiss him then and there? I mean, I'd like for our first kiss to be more romantic. Acting innocent. Now. Shush. No matter what people say, I want the first time to be memorable. In a secluded place with nobody else around, where the only audible sound is the sound of us breathing and my heartbeat, which I perceive to be extremely loud due to my nervousness. Lord CLO will initiate, that's how I imagine it to be. Something I read from a book. That part is fine. Because you are free to do what you want. But you two haven't even kissed yet. Wow. Stop with that pitying look, it hurts my heart. Also, please stop talking fluently when it matters. It's causing me a lot of damage when I realize that it's true. As I became depressed, Ms. Robot hurriedly added that she was joking. In fact, a married couple that hasn't even kissed yet might as well be the same as a married couple that's only married on paper. Maybe Ms. Robot's initial reaction was natural. In that case, cooperate with me, Ms. Robot. I will have you take responsibility for spurning me. Fine. By me. However, something romantic. Yes, romantic. Ms. Robot took a thinking posture and started pondering about romantic gestures. After playing in a field of flowers and making flower crowns, hold each other's hands while watching the sunset and kiss as you get closer. Despite making fun of me, Ms. Robot came up with a pretty cute idea. Good grief, after calling me out on acting innocent, this is what she came up with. Isn't playing in a flower field, making flower crowns and watching sunset too childish? That's pretty good. Right? It's childish. But that's what makes it good. The whole point is for Lord CLO to do something childish. He would clumsily make a flower crown and I'd show him the example with a little, after which we would gift our flower crowns to each other. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Wait, I forgot. I've never actually made a flower crown. Cool, the plan is all ruined. Then. What about something like this? A suspension bridge effect caused by a dangerous situation. I'm listening. Suspension bridge effect. If I remember right, it refers to the situation where people mistake a life-threatening situation for the excitement of love. But for Lord CLO, who could even kill Fenrir, to experience a life-threatening situation, we would need at least a rank monster. First, I will kidnap CLO. What are you even talking about? There was a strong enemy close to a rank standing before me all this time. It might be easy for Ms. Robot to put Lord CLO in a life-threatening situation, but kidnapping is different. It's Lord CLO, after all. And when CLO is in a critical situation after being kidnapped, you will make your dashing entrance. That's a terrible match pump. Lord CLO, who's been weakened after being kidnapped, huh? No matter how much I want to be liked, I'm still reluctant to go as far as kidnapping the other person. I wouldn't want to traumatize him, after all. Lord CLO, who was kidnapped, dirtied and anxious, only to feel relieved after seeing my face. Stop, don't think about it. I feel like if I think about it, I'll want to see it. Besides, it's not good. It'll be a problem if Lord CLO develops Stockholm Syndrome. In other words, there is a chance that he will start liking me instead. Yeah, and besides, when you think about it, if you kidnap him, the culprit will be obvious. I see. That makes sense. But in that case, we should come up with another way. I can send Lord CLO his favorite things, cook for him, drink with him and create the right mood. I'm not feeling any of those. Would you like me to light fireworks? I can do it if I prepare them. Is it possible? Still, fireworks, huh? I don't know why, but I can just see the future where I muster up all my courage only for my words to be drowned out by the sound of the fireworks. Certainly. Then go to the hot spring that appeared recently with just the Two. Of. You. We already did that. And. You. Still. Did not. Kiss. Stop with the pity. I don't want to blame anybody, but we couldn't do it because Gray interrupted us. That's right, that must have been it. A place we both like. A good environment. Hug. Pajamas. Stripping. Presents. Fireworks. Suspension bridge effect. Stockholm Syndrome. Creating a situation where we can both be proactive. If we extract good points from all those suggestions and put them together, we should be able to come up with a good idea. In other words, to summarize. I will make a flower crown for Lord CLO, then I'll pretend to give it to him and hug him instead. Press. Your. Chest. Against. Him. And. Take. Off. His. Clothes. As he panics, I will apply force to him and make him feel threatened to his life, after which, you. Will. Make. CLO. Faint. And. Move. Him. Somewhere. Else. I will comfort Lord CLO, who'll be anxious after waking up at an unknown place. You. Will. Drink. Together. And. Once. You. Both. Feel. Hot. The combination of anxiety, excitement and intoxication will activate the suspension bridge effect. And. In. The. End. I will. Light. Fireworks. 2. Liven. Things. Up. This is it. When I remember this moment in the future, I can't help but think one thing. That our excitement went in a strange direction. As expected, it wasn't a mistake. Violet Valentine. Chapter 43, Going Round in Circles. Lady Violet has been acting strange these past few days. I don't know how to put it, but she's behaving oddly. At first, I thought she was restless because of the Azalea Academy students, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Lord CLO, the weather is nice today too. Indeed, on rainy days like this, you start to want to read a different genre than usual. It's raining today. Pardon. Saying so, Lady Violet started to worry for some reason. Was it simply my imagination that she looked as if she was only thinking about today's weather being sunny? Strange. Where to, milady? If you are going out, I will prepare rain gear for you. It's okay, Gray. There's no need. Is that so? Please wait, why are you going outside dressed like that? Please let me go, Gray. I've heard that white clothes work the best for the see-through look. Let me go outside. I don't really understand, but I think that you might be mistaken. I heard that something like this happened with Gray. See-through look. I wonder what she means. I don't really get it, but I'm sure it's not what I think it is. It's not something people would go out of their way to do, so it must mean something else. Strange. Wow, it's so hot, Lord CLO. I think the weather is quite cool today. Why are you wearing light summer clothes? I've heard that men enjoy this look more. You will catch cold. Oh, that's right. Would you mind wearing your winter coat next time? I'll make some adjustments to it. Ooh. I see. Why would you unbutton one button at this timing? Because it's hot. Pop, Lady Violet unbuttoned the button on her chest. However, she started shivering from the cold, so I gave her the closest thing nearby to wear. After saying thank you, I feel like I heard her say, "This isn't so bad either," under her breath. Strange. Why are you wearing a school uniform, Lady Violet? When I saw my old classmates, I started feeling nostalgic. I tried wearing it for a bit. What do you think? I thought this before too, but it suits you well. It makes me wish we went to the same school. I see. Foo-foo, I see. Still, your skirt is short, isn't it? I feel like it was longer before. Really? But, I'm sorry. I've heard that 40 centimeters above the knee is preferable, but as expected, it was too embarrassing. I could only shorten it to this much. Only perverts wear skirts 40 centimeters above their knees. It's off-putting. What? Why are you surprised? At that length, people would be able to see your underwear unless they're too tall to look. If a woman was walking around with a skirt like that, I'd be put off and think, what's with her? Even if she was my type. Rather, who did she hear it from? Was it that lustful demon? It was him, wasn't it? Wait, I'm wrong. For real. Putting aside who she heard it from, the only thing I can say for now is, Gray, Lady Violet has been strange recently. Yes, she has obviously been acting weird. When I consulted with Gray when Lady Violet wasn't around, he also agreed with me that she was acting strange. He responded to my concern with a worried expression. I thought it was connected to the students of the academy, but I saw no signs of her meeting them or being harassed by them. Yeah, that's right. My first thought was that Lady Violet was being harassed behind my back. However, there were no signs of it happening and there was no evidence that Ms. Nephrite had made contact with her. Yesterday, she even asked, "Please let me meet with Vi, again." It seems like she had a hard time sneaking out because the investigation was busy trying new things, with Ash and the others keeping a close watch on her. Is it a new disease? If so, it must be a disease that makes one crazy. But she doesn't have a fever and it's not like she's mentally unstable. She cooks properly, and looking at the way she cleans and tidies up the mansion when she doesn't have Lord work to do, I don't see anything particularly wrong with her. There was a time when she tagged along after I told that I would be going outside, even though she could have met the academy students, but she didn't look daunted to meet them, and on the contrary, she even walked beside me with a happy expression. Although I can't deny the possibility that she was fine because we didn't meet her schoolmates. Milady is unexpectedly prone to making assumptions, so there is a chance she got the wrong idea about something. You're one to talk. There was a time when she mistook me for a girl. I can't argue back about that. It seems like Lady Violet used to think of Gray as an androgynous child dressed in a butler uniform. Now that I think about it, recently, I have not been allowed to wash Milady's clothes myself. Perhaps that could be related to the issue. No. I think that's only because she finds it embarrassing to let somebody of the opposite sex wash her underwear. She was fine with it before because she thought they were both girls. Not allowed to do laundry together. I've heard that phrase somewhere. I'm sure that's. I see, it's puberty. In other words, it is not an issue we can solve by ourselves, since it's an issue unique to women. Lady Violet is 15 years old. She must have worries she can't divulge to us since we're men. In that case, next time I'll secretly ask somebody of the same sex who's close in age with her to help her out. Girl who's the closest to her age would be. Then I will ask Lady Apricot if she could help Milady. Is that our only way? You seem to be very conflicted about this. Certainly, another girl who's closer in age with her would be 14 years old Apricot. But can she even offer a useful consultation? I'll admit that she's surprisingly serious when she's being serious. But I hope Lady Violet doesn't suddenly start calling me the Blackheart. Maybe Cyan could be our person. She's serious during confessions and she gets along with Lady Violet. In any case, I'd like somebody to casually consult Lady Violet if she has any worries. MMH, so you were here, Lord CLO, Grey. The bath is ready, so would you like to join me for a family bonding time? Somehow, I feel like this isn't the kind of a problem that could be solved just by consulting other women. I'll check if her thoughts are going in the wrong direction from stress. For now, I decided to let her rest while I looked at Grey. We both nodded in unison. Chapter 44, Against One's Nature to Ignore a Scream. Please get some rest. Grey and I carried Lady Violet to her room and encouraged her to lie down. I'm fine, Lord CLO. I don't feel particularly unwell, please do get some rest. Okay. I said firmly, after which Lady Violet sat on her bed, albeit reluctantly. It may have been better to have her change into her nightgown first, but there was something I needed to ask her before that. Lady Violet. If there's something you wish to discuss with us, we're all ears. This situation is what I wanted to talk about the most. After saying so, Lady Violet averted her gaze. Dang, so I can't get you to talk no matter what. I thought we had begun warming up to each other, but maybe I was mistaken. Still, we are family. As long as she's family, we can't shut our eyes to her weird behavior. There's a chance that her efforts to not make us worry about her health ended up backfiring, and that's troubling her. Ha! Why does Lady Violet look like she just had an eureka moment? And is this sense of foreboding just in my head? I hope it is. Sorry, Lord CLO, Grey. I simply had the shivers. I was hoping to keep you from worrying, but it seems to have had the opposite effect. So, she was feeling unwell. Anyway, I'll have her rest today. If necessary, I'll ask someone, maybe the priest, to handle things like reviewing the findings from tomorrow's investigation. First things first, she needs to change into her nightdress. Since we couldn't possibly stay for that, I suppose Grey and I will need to step outside momentarily. It's really cold, so she feels cold. Should I bring in the Firestone-powered portable heater, which is as efficient as the modern-day heater, to warm up the room? Okay, now that that's settled, let me get it when I leave the room. Times like these call for someone to warm you up. Is it just me, or is she talking very differently from usual? Nah, it probably only sounds weird since she's sick. I really need to get her the heater. It'll do her good. Wait, someone. Not something, but someone. I'm not talking about a heater, but something to heat up the body from within, heat up from within. Ginger tea. I see, it's not much use just warming up externally. Of course, you need to start from the inside in order to improve your condition. I've heard that women are more susceptible to the cold than men, so it's probably good to put measures in place to avoid this from happening in the future. Please give me a moment, let me go grab some ginger. That's not what I meant. I was about to exit the room, leaving Grey to hold down the fort, when a sudden tug on my sleeve stopped me in my tracks. That wasn't it. By the way, her grip was pretty strong. Enough to give me the illusion that nothing was wrong with her. But what could possibly elevate her body temperature and warm her up from within? To warm up. Oh yes, I heard body contact is very effective. Well, she's not wrong, but she's wrong in thinking that it's a truly effective solution. If I remember correctly, it's nothing more than an emergency measure to conserve body heat if people are stranded in snow. Later, I'd better press her to learn where or who she heard that from. There are many waiting for an opportunity to misuse a piece of information like that in a scheme to get Grey to comply. Grey, the idea itself isn't wrong, but in this situation, exactly my point, Gray. Lady Violet. What is she proposing? So she's been acting weird these past few days because she's been ill. There's nothing else that could make her say things like this. Then, take off your coat, Lord CLO. In order to warm up Lady Violet mother, hurry. Why, wait. Let's help him out, Gray. Lady Violet. You're rather energetic for someone sick. Stop. Stop trying to strip me. No. Here we're presented with a totally incomprehensible situation where a mother and son are trying to strip their husband/father. Ah, you little, stop clinging to my leg, Lady Violet. Gray, aren't you supposed to stop her, if anything? You see, mother. Father feels embarrassed to be the only one with his clothes off. Oh, hear me out, Gray. We should start with taking off our coats. Noted. Stop. Weird, there's been a sudden spike in the number of people trying to strip these past few weeks. Are you trying to tell me that Miss Schwartz's predilection to lose her clothes is contagious? Aw, damn it, I'm having a hard time fending both of them off. It was much easier to calm down Chartreuse and Ms. Nephrite the other day, but now, the moment I drop my guard, they try to strip me, so I'm finding it really hard to fight them off. If someone completely unrelated were to happen upon this scene, I have no idea what kind of misunderstandings would ensue. In my effort to resist their advances, I flipped around, facing the door when. I'm terribly sorry to intrude. I knocked on the door and waited a while. I was about to leave since no one answered, but I heard something like a scream, so. I made eye contact with Ash, who looked very uneasy. Wonder why he's here. Perhaps he's not here to pester Lady Violet, but because they've made progress with the investigation. If that's the case, then his timing is awful. Lady Violet stiffened upon noticing Ash, trying to make sense of the situation. Please continue as you were. Hold it. Screamed I and Lady Violet together. Chapter 45, Cups Are for Guests. This is black tea grown at the foot of the mountain in the east. Thank you. Gray took Ash to the reception room and served him the tea he brewed. After taking a sip, Ash looked a little surprised, telling Gray that found the tea delicious. Hearing this, Gray bowed, moved behind the sofa where I was sitting and stood with a beautiful posture. Sir Ash, about what you saw a moment ago. No, I simply came here to report and am simply partaking in some tea first. That is all. Ash was smiling and acting as if the incident from earlier hadn't happened. I do appreciate his consideration, but I don't want him to have any weird misunderstanding. Though, as long as he's not breaching the subject, it would be better if I didn't say anything either. Besides, there are other things that I don't know what to do about, compared to the prior incident. I did not expect for you to be present as well. You have been avoiding us all this time, so what has brought this change of heart, Lady Valentine nay, Baroness Heartfelt? Yes, Lady Violet came with us to the room where Ash is. The atmosphere is slightly awkward. At first I was planning to handle him together with Gray, but as per her request, we're here together. By the way, Lady Violet's chills seem to have been just her imagination. I intend to take precautions later, but for now I want to respect her will to face Ash. I want to, but. You're saying something strange, Austin. I have been put in charge of the actual work. Therefore, there is nothing strange in me listening to the reports about Shiki. Is that so? Certainly, you have always excelled at both classroom learning and at actual combat. I am sure you would be very adept at paperwork too. However, you have to listen to the voices of the people too. You're making it sound like I don't listen to the requests of our citizens and can only do administrative work while locking myself in the mansion. What might you be talking about? I said no such thing. It was merely my advice as somebody who is involved with business to some extent. Really? That's how it sounded to me though. Was it my imagination? Ha ha ha. Yes, it must have been your imagination, ha ha ha. What should I do? This is scary. A few days ago she was saying that she'd be heartbroken if she met him, so I wonder why she can act so fearlessly today. It may be a welcome thing. But is it fever, after all? It must be her fever. Also, can't those two do anything about their dry laughs? So, what kind of business has brought you here today? Was there any progress in the investigation? I coughed once to get Ash's attention on me. Even if there was progress with the investigation, at most they must have concluded that there were no abnormalities or it's just an update of the information about the monster's habitat range. I'd like to believe that's not the case, but I'm hoping he didn't come here under the pretext of making a report just to see Lady Violet and insult her. Yes. There have been reports of a strange sighting in the area recently. However, Ash's report concerned something I wasn't expecting. Really? This is different from what we found out during the investigation, but according to my information network. According to Ash, it seems that monsters have started becoming more active around this area and some of them are moving away from their habitats. Although their number is small, it would be better to be cautious. This information would normally be shared between the feudal lords, but since the information seems to be coming from the personal opinions of the Azalea Academy students who were investigating the area, as well as other travelers, the information seems to have went to Ash first, who has been spreading his personal informational network. Ms. Schwartz promised me to not touch anything in this area, so I don't think she has anything to do with this. Come to think of it, Ms. Robot also received an emergency call. Perhaps it was related to that matter. Emergency call to Robot. There was a report about that, if I remember right. The report included that a wyvern was discovered at a distance where it could be seen with a naked eye, so some caution was required. I think Robot burnt that wyvern to a crisp with some amazing beam. RIP. Thank you for the information, Sir Ash. No, I am the one who has to thank you for helping us so much during this investigation period. This was an emergency investigation at the request of the Second Prince, but thanks to you, it will end without damaging the school's reputation. Rather than me helping them, I'm the one who's sorry for all the trouble those guys caused. Besides, Lord CLO. Oops, that's not good. Let's not think about strange things right now. Anyway, tomorrow is the last day of the Azalea Academy student investigation and they will be heading home the day after tomorrow. The closer you get to the end of this type of work, the more you become distracted and accidents are more likely to occur. I'll also try to not relax prematurely. Lord CLO. I shook off my thoughts to not get distracted and opened my eyes to see Lady Violet looking at me with a concerned look on her face. What? Isn't she too close? Are you okay? If you're feeling unwell, Gray and I will handle the rest. 2M fine. I was just a little worried about Sir Ash's report. Really? Don't push yourself too hard. It'll be no good if you collapse from worrying about the people. Considering what happened earlier, she's one to talk. But looks like I made her worry. I'll refrain from thinking about unnecessary things. You've changed your mind quite quickly. Thinking of something while looking at us, Ash spoke up. His tone was calm, but there was a hint of irritation and dismay in his gaze. You two seem to get along very well. You were so devoted to His Highness, but now that you've merely been accepted on the surface, you've become quite relaxed. I'm sure this place must be quite comfortable for you compared to the school we are at. That's a lot of sarcasm I'm detecting. Wasn't he a soft-spoken character who did the dirty work behind the scenes and took care of the sparks that befell His Highness and the heroine? Was what Lady Violet did in the past so unforgivable for him? Maybe this is the reason why he came alone. It's a personal choice to forgive others or not, and I have no intention of forcing the victim to forgive the perpetrator. But just like how he feels displeased about past actions of another person, I don't think he can complain if we act dissatisfied with his actions either. I grabbed a cup of tea in order to make a counterargument after calming down. Indeed, after all, I am Lord Cielo's wife and I love him. It's not surprising that you would think we get along. Gah, IIT's hot. Lord Cielo. Hearing Lady Violet's words, which she declared while leisurely drinking tea, I gripped my teacup too strongly and broke it, resulting in the tea inside scalding me and the fragments of the cup piercing my hand. Fortunately, it didn't actually cut me, but it was still hot and painful. But what's with her so suddenly? Are you all right, Lord Cielo? Did you get burnt or injured? We must call Ivory right this moment to perform first aid. I'm fine, Lady Violet. It's not that painful or hot, I simply exclaimed because the stimulus was too sudden. Lady Violet looked worried about whether I was lying. After she looked at my hand and confirmed that there were no injuries, she cooled it down slightly with the use of low-tier water magic and felt relieved after seeing that I was fine. Cage, what's this? It's so abrupt that I can't understand what's happening. Still, it would be better to treat it. Let's apply antibacterial ointment for the skin. Sorry, Austin, forgive my rude behavior, but I want to treat my husband. Are you fine with ending today's conversation here? Yes, I don't mind. Lady Violet told Grey to send Ash off and took me with her. It seemed like she wasn't leaving the room to chase off Ash, but rather she was genuinely worried about me. I'm happy, but also embarrassed. To think that you could make that kind of expression. I feel like Ash muttered something before he left, but I couldn't quite catch it. Chapter 46, a feeling similar to so-called hate of the same kind. Final day of the Azalea Academy investigation. Even though it's the last day of the investigation, the area of Shiki isn't big enough for the scope of the investigation to be wide, so the students are essentially free to roam around. Basically, they just have to coordinate dates with groups that are investigating other locations. Ash, who ended up being in charge of monitoring, since there are no teachers to accompany the investigation groups. You are free to be diligent, but please remember that it's not good if you don't take breaks. Declared so, tacitly condoning free action. However, he would still criticize people who went too far. He seems to have shared the information about the rare sighting so others would keep it in mind, but since there are parts of the information that are ambiguous, other students seem to have really just kept it in the corner of their minds. Anyway, each student was spending their time freely. Some students went to the Nun, Cyan, to learn martial arts. Some students went to the lustful demon Marquis, Kaki, to learn how to woo women. Some students had passionate talks with the blacksmith, Bly, about shodas. Some students learned how to grow mushrooms from the black mage, Orchid. I feel like there's something wrong with the teachers and what they teach, but that has to be my imagination. Isn't this poisonous? It's poisonous when it's raw or heated up, but if you soak it in lime with this combination, the poisonous reaction will disappear. Oh, but be careful. It'll still be poisonous for elves. For half-elves too. If they're mixed with other blood, there won't be any problems. They'll probably feel a little sick though. I see. And Ms. Nephrite was being taught about plants by the perverted poison enthusiast, Emerald. Although she's a pervert who ingests poison herself, her knowledge of poisonous and edible plants is first-rate. As someone who uses alchemy magic, Ms. Nephrite must have a lot to learn from Emerald. By the way, if you boil it and soak it into cold water before eating it, your body will turn numb in just the right way and you'll be able to vomit. That sensation is really something you should experience at least once in your life. Do you want to eat it? Yeah, I'd rather not. I see. It's a delicacy though. You're sure interested in it? Are they okay? It might be a good idea to have emetic medicine on hand in case of an emergency. I should also contact Ivory or Ash just in case. In addition, there's a reason why Ms. Nephrite isn't going to meet Lady Violet even though she has free time. She and Lady Violet are scheduled to meet today or tomorrow, which I helped relay to her. Lady Violet is currently busy with reports from the Valentine family. Even so, when I told her that a student from Azalea Academy, who was also involved in the duel, wanting to meet her, she said that she'd meet them, after a little hesitation. To be honest, I'm worried. But if that's what she wants to do, I'll simply give her all my support. And there's also something I'm concerned about. It's about Ms. Nephrite's behavior. As far as I remember, there was no place called Shiki in the Ring of Fire. Still, the idea that one of the Lady Violet's endings in the game, being expelled from school after the duel, married off to an ugly man in the countryside and being treated in all sorts of perverted ways involves this place. Isn't entirely impossible either. But if possible, I don't want to think of myself as an ugly man and I want to believe that I haven't treated her in a perverse way. In any case, there is no event of the heroine receiving training in the name of an investigation during this period in the game. There's an event where she leaves the academy for investigation, but I don't think Shiki was involved in that. If characters with such strong personalities had appeared before, I'd remember them whether I wanted it or not. And although she seems close with Ash and Chartreuse, who are the love interests in the game, it doesn't feel like they're going out. In the game, the heroine would join the investigation group of the love interest she was getting along with depending on the route. And it would be followed by an accident that would help them get closer. However, if it's a true ending or a route where she solves all problems using only her own body, commonly known as the Iron Woman route, it's a different story. Well, if I've simply been given life in a world that's similar to the Otome game that my sister played in my previous life, then all this probably wouldn't apply. In front of me is a living, breathing being. It's not like she's a puppet that's moving due to a plot convenience or a compulsion. Even if I do have a certain amount of information, there is no guarantee that it would be true. Maybe I'm being too self-conscious, but there could be a so-called butterfly effect caused by my existence. And because of it, I don't know what might have changed. My task is to think about the information in front of me. First of all, when it comes to treatment, you must consider location, race, and age. There are some effective medicines, but there is no panacea. Just as honey is poisonous to young children, both magic and medicine can bring more harm if they're used a little wrong. Yes, I understand. However, this medicine book contains a tremendous amount of information. If you don't mind, I will report it to the kingdom. My book is banned in the kingdom because of some idiots. It would be a waste of time. Even if it comes from somebody from a marquee family like you. Is that so? Ash was learning treatment from the perverted doctor, Ivory. As somebody who serves the royal family and supports all races, he probably wants to gain all kinds of knowledge. Without a desire to improve himself, he wouldn't be able to serve as His Highness' attendant and his future confidant. By the way, I can even fix arms that have been blown off. It'll probably feel strange for a few days though. Come on, do you want to experience it yourself? I do not. TSK, you really clicked your tongue at me like that. Will those two be okay? Ivory will click his tongue at anybody, unless the other person is royalty, so watching them is making me nervous. That's how badly he was treated by the kingdom, so it can't be helped. But his desire to save a lot of people and his loyalty towards the royal family is genuine, so it's troubling. That's why he wants to return to the kingdom and heal injuries. Good grief, you just say the most non-committal things, don't you? What do you mean, Silver Riser? Silver what? Anyway, words alone have no meaning, they gain meaning only after they've been put into action. Cease with trying to keep appearances and work hard to learn how to put them in action. What are you talking about? My magic and combat abilities will never lose to your sword. Well, anyone can preach with just words. What did you say? Come on, there is nothing to be ashamed of. Riser, you probably can't put any significance in your strength, and that's why you can only speak words for keeping up appearances. Wow, now you've said it. And why are Apricot and Chartreuse starting a fight? I'd already thought that their personalities were incompatible, but now they're in an explosive state. Perhaps knowing his strength, the Azalea Academy students are looking at him from afar, with nobody trying to get close, and Ash and Ms. Nephrite, who might be able to stop him, are somewhere else. As for Apricot, she's difficult to handle and her talent in magic is real, so rather than the residents watching her from a distance, they're more watching over her with the mindset of watching their granddaughter and thinking, Cotty is so energetic today too, oofufu. Please just stop her. I beg you. Sir Chartreuse, Apricot, please stop fighting. So I had no choice but to step in and stop them. But these guys are still glaring at each other even with me in between them. If I had found them a little later, I might have gotten dragged into a fight. Don't stop me, Baron. My sword isn't meant to hurt women and children. But I'm not so patient to sheath my blade after being mocked. Yeah, I know that. You're just a muscle brain wearing the mask of calmness. Don't stop me, Mr. CLO. I'm not mature enough to stay calm after having my abilities belittled. Yeah, I know that too. Your stance is to never run from a fight. If you start fighting at a place like this, I will have to report to the Azalea Academy. It will be fine as long as you stay silent, Baron. That's it. That's right. Hey, you two, don't joke around. Make up your mind if you get along or not. If a noble from a Viscount family, who's also the son of the Knight Commander, gets in a fight with a citizen and is hurt, it'll decide that it was the fault of the Lord's complete lack of supervision. I don't want you two to get hurt. There is no way this guy could ever injure me. What did you say? They talked at the same time and glared at each other. You guys really do get along. What should I do? If I try to call the father, who could stop them, they might pick a fight with me, and if I call Cyan, she might instigate things more. It's troublesome, so I'll just let them fight it out. They won't tell others no matter which one of them loses, so I'll use the favor Chartreuse owes me for getting him a weapon to put pressure on other students. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Well then, if I judge it to be dangerous, I will stop you. For safety reasons, we will be using mock weapons. You can use magic until the protection charm that can withstand a certain level of damage is destroyed. The venue will be the plaza. Is that fine? I have no complaints. Stop imitating me. You guys do get along, after all. Author's note. Iron Woman route. It's a playful route that can only be played after unlocking the true ending, where main character becomes so strong that she's unrivaled and solves all problems by herself. She can kill dragons and evil gods with a single blow. She also mass-produces Philosopher's Stone. She can probably easily destroy a country. Although all problems are resolved in this route, it seems that Villainous Violet leaves in the middle of this route as well. Chapter 47, Two Different Worlds. The concept of strength is different for everyone. It can be martial or strategic prowess, positional or physical power. Those who consider themselves strong would never let their weaknesses dictate their life and are therefore strong. Those who consider themselves weak are capable of discerning the strength in others and are therefore strong, is something I read in my previous life and it made me ponder. In short, strength means something different for different people. Did you say your name was Apricot? You shall learn just how sinful words that aren't backed by merit are. Right back at you. Have you come up with what excuses to say to the children you're supposed to protect when you lose? Something like you lost the battle but you will win the war because you shall protect them, maybe. You'd better not moan that you lost because your weapon was no good. Humph. I'll take you up on that. Humph, bring it on. That said, the reason behind this display of strength is a little complicated. I agree that willfulness is often rooted in strength, but I'd rather they didn't flex their strength in the weirdest of places. I'll take you up on that, my ass. Bring it on, my ass. I swear these guys had this all set up in advance. That can be the only reason why they are so in tandem. Care to explain, Baron Heartfelt? Ash joined us when the two were about to go at it and demanded an explanation as he narrowed his eyes at me. Please don't look at me that way. This is the decision they reached after a compromise. It's not my fault they look so fired up. It's a long story. In a word. Fight. All right. Ash cut down my attempt at smoothing things over with his forceful yet curt words. I look pretty pathetic. I'd rather Lady Violet didn't see me right now. One would normally expect Ash to intervene and put a stop to the fight, but perhaps he knew there was no stopping Chartreuse when he got this way, for he sighed and turned to me. That young lady called Apricot, how strong would you say she is? From Ash's point of view, Apricot is probably just a weird girl who speaks nonsense. Her appearance does give her the flair of a witch, but it can also be quite hard to see past it. That said, if I were to comment on her abilities, just in terms of magical power, she's the best in all of Shiki. Yeah, only in terms of power. Enough to be Gray's master, a boy who is so talented that I ran out of things to teach very quickly. She could easily be the top student at the academy. You don't say. Apricot's abilities are exceptional. Let's go. A wooden sword on one side, a staff on the other. The match kicked off with each armed with a self-defense charm capable of absorbing a portion of damage from attacks. By controlling the amount of mana that goes into the charm, its damage absorption capacity can be loosely modulated. It's also reusable. As to its effectiveness, I hear it's an absolutely essential item in any fight, but that's up for debate. The simple reasons being, its effect is short-lived. Imbuing the charm with mana is not a quick process unless, though it may be, it transmits some damage to the user resulting in some pain. As such, it can only be used in mock battles like these. Enhance leg strength, enhance arm strength, enhance vision, enhance hearing, enhance senses, commence. Despite it only being a mock battle, rapid casting of magic buffs could be heard as soon as the match commenced. The speed at which the buffs were cast and time it took for it to take effect would leave any onlookers flabbergasted. In fact, certain Azalea Academy students, who witnessed the magic, looked completely spellbound. Ash was one of them, and though he looked worried for Apricot until then, his expression changed to one of caution the instant he saw her magic. Rapid. However, Chartreuse didn't falter and stepped forward, closing the distance in a flash and swinging his sword without hesitation. Ouch! The sword that aimed to the left of her torso didn't quite fully connect and grazed Apricot as she jumped back, her face distorting in pain. So he is fast enough for her to feel pain from just a graze. Not to mention, it was done with a wooden sword and to an opponent armed with a number of buffs. Chartreuse is still a fledgling, both mentally and ability-wise, and as such isn't able to match up to his parents who are both knight captains themselves, but his strength is evident. Does that mean he's in the route intended for the Chartreuse in the game? If I'm not wrong, the way he holds his sword is reminiscent of something Nephrite recklessly unleashed when backed to a corner and later converted into a move. This won't do. I need to stop thinking about the game. Slow. Chartreuse didn't ease up, he held the wooden sword in both hands, fixed his stance and followed up with a thrust. His movements were seamless, unfaltering and were truly like the wind. Slow indeed. However, Apricot predicted his move and dodged it by letting the sword slide in the gap between her body and left arm. She would normally be unable to dodge an attack that fast, but likely from the buff she cast on herself earlier, Apricot was easily able to react to his current level of speed. Before he could draw the sword out, she clamped on it using her enhanced strength. Once he tried and failed to retrieve it, she aimed her staff at him. So she intends to unleash her magic at point-blank range. Naive. Regardless, Chartreuse dealt with the situation calmly. Faced with the threat of an imminent, close-range magic attack, rather than trying in vain to pull out the sword that was stuck in place, or try to dodge the attack, he simply let go of the sword and stepped forward. There's a small delay between cast and activation with offensive magic. Using that loophole, if one can be faster than the spell, they can make one's opponent lose focus, thereby dispersing the magic before it's cast. Meaning, if something can't be solved with your sword, then just use your fist. Chartreuse eyed Apricot's abdomen and let his fist loose. Right back at you. Apricot didn't lose control of her magic, rather she smiled as if she'd expected him to do just that. Chartreuse reacted with surprise at her words, but it was already too late and the magic circle set up in advance on her abdomen, which activated upon contact, was triggered. So she threw in a magic circle disguised as a buff. Concerto. A coordinated attack from the magic circle and her staff. The magic struck the Chartreuse, who had become defenseless after being caught off guard. Shield. Just before it hit him, he chanted a defensive spell to reduce some of the damage taken, and while the smoke from the magic engulfed the air, he stepped back to regain his footing. At the same time, making use of her loosened grip due to the recoil from the magic, he retrieved his sword and, armed once again, he got ready to respond to his opponent's attacks as he jumped back and landed on his feet. However, that's exactly what Apricot wanted. Circle A, Circle Alpha, Circle B, commence. I get it. You're not all talk. Upon witnessing her magic, Chartreuse acknowledged Apricot's strength, albeit a little. Multiple red and purple magic circles emerged behind Apricot. Each strong enough to easily kill a D-class monster, and all of them aimed at Chartreuse. Back during the Fenrir attack, if not for the unfavorable location, or having to protect two people, or Fenrir's high resistance to magic and its tough body, it would have been all too easy for her to deal with it. However, the same could be said for Chartreuse. His ancestors were not only master swordsmen but also arch-wizards, and he has still yet to reach his potential in both. He's still in the process of honing his skills. Enchant, he got into his stance. He aimed at the point that would help him cut through the gaps in the magic. It was the duty of a knight to pave the way to survivability. System Labyrinth, Flash, both of their attacks clashed with one another. It made me realize that those two live in a totally different genre from me. Frankly, I felt envious. Even the onlookers were watching them with bated breath. Battling using magic is something that can only be enjoyed in a world with magic. Even I have once wanted to wake up with a demon's eye or unleash super flashy magic. Spectating their battle involving the free use of magic, I recalled a somewhat dark past of mine, and it made me envious. Chapter 48, this strange feeling bubbling to the surface. Ha! A sigh in the office. I was taught never to sigh unless it was to vex my opponent. However, I couldn't help but let out a sigh or two while reading the report on my desk. Lady Violet, I brought you some black tea. Thanks, Gray. Perhaps Gray, who had stayed back to welcome visitors in lieu of a secretary, could discern exhaustion from my face. After all, he had purposefully made me some tea. It's wonderfully delicious. He's added just the right amount of sugar and not a single nitpick can be made in the way he had brewed it. Gray is second to none when it comes to making black tea or coffee. You're really good at brewing tea, Gray. You flatter me, milady. I complimented Gray, which he accepted with a respectful bow. His demeanor was truly that of a secretary or butler, but given his age, one would probably take him for a kid who has had a strict upbringing. Gray, why don't you relax, even just a little, when you're at home? Gray is my son by marriage. As it's only been 2 months since we met, I can't fault him for being reserved around me. Also, since I have been keeping him at a distance, it's only natural that we aren't close. However, the nature of our relationship makes me feel a bit sad. That said, I'm aware he's a good kid. That wouldn't do, milady. If I don't follow proper conduct under normal circumstances, it's possible that I'd mess up when it matters most. Gray has closed off his heart to me. Or rather, maybe his conduct is true to his nature. He always speaks politely to Lord CLO, which makes me wonder if he's decided that I and Lord CLO are people deserving of respect and that serving us brings him pleasure. It's not all too unusual to speak politely with family. I was the same way with my parents. However, I referred to them as father and mother and never by their name. Well then, what should I do? If I want Gray to be himself, then perhaps I should maintain the status quo. Also, I'm not quite familiar with how a normal family interacts with each other. My father never showed any interest in me, and my mother and I hardly exchanged words outside of social settings. After a certain age, I only met my brothers on rare occasions. In short, I don't quite comprehend the desired distance between family members. When it comes to Gray and Lord CLO, though the former addresses the latter politely, it's obvious that they have a relationship built on mutual trust, and I want a similar amiable relationship with Gray. Gray, there's only the two of us here. Would you at least address me differently? Address, milady? How about Mrs. Heartfield? The distance between us grew ever so much wider. I'm rather shocked to hear that form of address from Gray. Please, stop. Mother Violet. Right, he did call me that yesterday too. I'm not sure if it's alright to address me that way in public. But I wish it were more affectionate. That designation somewhat reminds me of my own mother. Mama. I don't know what this is. I feel something strange bubbling to the surface. A feeling I've never experienced before. I would have been happy with him just dropping my name and simply calling me mother, but Gray went one step further, closing the distance between us. Calm down. I'm different from that blacksmith. But what is this feeling? This feeling of being called mama by a young boy akin to a small animal with big soulful eyes. That certainly doesn't suit me. I should revert to calling you mother. It suits you, so say it one more time. I grabbed hold of Gray by his shoulders and hounded him. To be frank, it's rather embarrassing to be called mama, so it's better if he calls me mother, but I don't know why it feels like if I miss this chance then I can never hear him call me that again. What's the matter? You sound like Mr. Bly. Ack. Why are you holding your head, looking crushed? I'm not like him. I'm nothing like that perverted blacksmith. Gray, who hasn't realized the truth about him, innocently pointed out a resemblance, hurting me in the process. No, I just wanted us to grow closer together as a family. I'm not going off the rails. Well, was I not excited about being called mama by someone who's more like a younger brother to me? Then I'm really a pervert. I'm not like Mr. Bly, I'm not like Mr. Bly, I'm not like Mr. Bly, I'm not like Mr. Bly. Come back to me, Lady Violet. Did my form of address really affect you that badly? Ha! This won't do. I was about to place a curse as a form of escapism. As it is, Gray is so easily influenced. So long as we live in Shiki, there's no guarantee that he would not be influenced by something weird, so I need to stand tall and be a good role model for Gray. I'm fine, Gray. Also, about how you address me. Just call me whatever, whenever you feel like. Ah, yes. I understand. Gray looked at me and drew back a little. Granted, if a simple address is all it took for someone to act very weird, then anyone would be bewildered. I suppose. It's going to take some time until he can call me mother without any reservations. Maybe when we were deciding how to address each other the day after I got here, if I had just asked me to address me as mother in general, then maybe we wouldn't be. Did someone drop by? I can hear the doorbell. I wonder if it's a visitor. Let me go take a look. Thanks. Gray bowed and swiftly but quietly exited the office. He's a really shrewd kid. Maybe even more so than my old maid, Amber. A visitor, huh? I don't remember us having anything scheduled today. Today in particular we aren't supposed to have any other appointments. I checked our schedule with Lord CLO, after the messenger from the Valentine family stopped over. In that case, it could be a traveler or a peddler. Or, it could be someone with something urgent to report. I need to brace myself even more than ever if it's an academy student. Come to think of it, I need to go meet someone. I suddenly remembered making plans to meet with an academy student. The one wanting to meet me was a female student, who I apparently dueled with once. Lord CLO tried to be subtle about it, but if it's a female student who dueled with me, then it has to be her. I was quite surprised to learn that she was here in Shiki. But I can't just avoid her. Having His Highness fall in love with her, charming Ash and the others, mingling and treating both commoners and nobility alike with a smile on her face. She was a classmate whose virtues I was unable to see when I was acting out of control. I should try to calm down before leaving to meet her. I should apologize first when I see her. Though her conduct against me and upper society as a whole was absurd and she never tried to understand that, it still doesn't excuse my behavior. However, would it be alright if I bragged about being happily married to Lord CLO? I certainly want to see her stunned expression upon hearing of how close we are. However, I'm not good at humble bragging. It would probably end with her worrying about my well-being. Even back then, Gray was worried for me. And that was when I realized that some time had passed since I had started contemplating on things to be done. That's weird. Gray should have come back to report to me by now. I wonder if he's still talking at the door. I can't put it past easily influenced Gray to not be taken in by any weird canvassing. I guess I should discreetly check on the situation. Gray. I got to the front door, only to find no one there and the door ajar. With no trace of having welcomed anyone inside, I looked around outside the open door to find no one near. Gray. I called out once again. There was no response. Chapter 49. Ku. Si. Ha. Fufufu. Do you fu recognize my strength now? Riser. Fuya. After the duel, Apricot was gasping for air. She was using her cane not as an aid for magic, but to support her body, which was how it was originally used in my previous life. Apricot's magical ability is the real deal. She can really use magic that one might believe she had only been bragging about. Naturally, looking at the way she could consequently activate magic earlier, it's obvious that she has quite a lot of mana. However, in terms of physical abilities, she's slightly below average compared to human girls of her age. If she casts multiple body-strengthening spells that cause recoil despite all this, she'll naturally be left gasping for air. Lady Apricot, I apologize for my previous statement. Magic skills like yours are among a class even in the academy. On the other hand, while Chartreuse was showing some fatigue, he was acting firm. He made one realize that there was literally a difference of heaven and earth between their physical abilities. That being said, he was directly hit by magic and he probably wouldn't come out without major injuries if he hadn't had his protection charm. In any case, Chartreuse seemed to have also recognized Apricot's abilities during this fight. In the end, it all ended in a draw as their protection charms were shattered at the same time. So, he had to admit it. Fufufu, if you understand, then, it's fine. I did not expect you to handle my magic to that extent. Foho. Also, don't call me Lady Kohyu. Hey Apricot, these are lemons pickled in water and bees' nectar. Help yourself if you like them. You too, Sir Chartreuse. Thank you, very much. Mr. CLO. Kafu. Actually, I was going to eat it later, but it's fine for the occasion. Apricot looks like she would collapse on the spot if I leave her alone. Though she also looks as if she would throw up if she ate. Well, I can't just ignore your kindness. I shall eat too. Although he was worried about his surroundings, Chartreuse reached for the lemons that were soaked in bees' nectar, perhaps judging that it wouldn't look strange if he ate it now. Come to think of it, I think he had convinced himself that liking and eating sweet things would make him a weakling. In other words, he was hiding that he liked them. Still, he cares too much about such small matters. You. It permeates through. But it tastes different than usual. Apricot, who had started speaking politely, said quizzically while eating. Indeed, it was made by Lady Violet and not me or Grey, but is it something one can understand with a single bite? That was a wonderful fight, you two. It was a match that you don't see very often even at the academy. Ash, who was quietly looking at those two deliciously eat, came over. I wonder if he's actually praising them genuinely, without any double meaning to his words. Considering his personality, I doubt he would just praise them, so it's making me anxious. Ms. Apricot, was it? With that magic ability, you can apply to our Azalea Academy as well. How about it? I will recommend you, so why don't you attend the academy next year? Just a moment ago, he was treating her like a delusional kid though. Is that decision really okay? Hearing Ash's words, Apricot, who had been breathing heavily until now, got a proud expression on her face. She flipped her cloak and struck a pose. Phew, my magic use is high lost in gauge, so I had no plans of becoming a Johnny, but it's a different matter if a linker like Riser is there. I might use this answer when making an attractor, Gofu. You can show off all you want, but do it after you've caught your breath. I rubbed Apricot's back to calm her down. I will leave it to you, Baron Heartfield. Does Ash think that I'm some kind of a dictionary or something? Let's see. For me, there is nothing much to learn about magic at the academy, so I had no intention of becoming a student, but it's a different story if there's somebody as strong as him there. I can consider attending it. At that time, I might have to rely on you. I see. Why does Johnny mean a student? Please ask Apricot herself for more details. Although there's something wrong with me for understanding her too. Well then. Ash looked like he didn't understand anything, but his tone changed slightly, as if to say that compliments were now over. It's true that it was a great duel, but what were you two thinking? Starting a fight and escalating it into a duel. Hearing Ash's words, which he said while smiling, Chartreuse stiffened and Apricot tried running away, realizing that she was about to be lectured. Invisible, I won't let you use magic. Before Apricot could do anything, Ash grabbed her shoulder, and at the same time, he also grabbed Chartreuse's shoulder to keep them from escaping. I tried to stop them, you know. The responsibility is on both of them. I sneaked away from the two who were being lectured before the sparks started flying towards me too. When I looked around after walking a little further away, I noticed that the students that had been watching from a distance had also started to sneak away. Are they used to seeing Ash in that state? Their response was quick. What should I do? What should I do now? It's a little early for lunch, and even if I go back to the mansion, there's a chance Lady Violet is still working. Since I don't know when she's going to finish, it's probably for the best if I don't go back right away, so I'll look around a little bit. Lord CLO. Suddenly, I heard a voice from behind me. I don't even have to turn around to recognize who the owner of this voice is. But what brought her here? Did she come to see Miss Nephrite? After finishing her business with the Valentine family? If so, it's a bit sudden. It makes me nervous. Did something happen, Lady Violet? I turned around and confirmed that it was Lady Violet. She was wearing the same clothes she wore before I went outside, and they didn't look very easy to move in. Judging from her appearance, she probably had something to ask me. Yeah, I have something to ask. With a somewhat worried look on her face. Have you seen Gray? Lady Violet asked me anxiously. Chapter 50, Viva la Revolution. After hearing from Lady Violet that Gray's whereabouts were unknown, we decided to split up and search for him. It's because it would be a problem if he were in some kind of trouble. Also, because I'm genuinely worried about him. I've told him to not follow strangers, but he might have followed a familiar person. He looks easy to deceive anyway. Mr. Bly and you, Azalea Academy student, did you kidnap Gray? That's both very straightforward and very rude. Yeah. So I tried hitting up suspicious people. A female student wearing a black uniform for nobles was talking about Shodas with Mr. Bly. I don't seriously think that they kidnapped him, but they might have keenly reacted to Gray's existence and remembered where he went. I was joking about kidnapping, but we don't know where Gray went. I've been asking everybody about him just in case. No, I don't remember seeing him. What about you, miss? No, I could tell within 100 m radius if there aren't any obstacles, but my sensor isn't catching him. Yeah, there was no scent I could detect outside either. Exactly. He's a superb boy, so we would notice if he were outdoors. Gray aside, I'm worried whether these two are really okay. In other words, if Mr. Bly wasn't at the smithy back then, he'd be able to sense Gray's presence. And who in the world is this noble lady? CLO, didn't I tell you that for us, Shodas are something to be admired and not something to be plucked? I know that. I know that well. It would be better if their ways of adoration were non-problematic, but their words and actions are a big problem. That's why, if anything happens to Gray, call us right away. We will not forgive anybody who wants to hinder his healthy growth. That naturally goes for me too, Lord Heartfield. I will use all my authority to eliminate everybody who causes him harm. Her face and the tone were serious. I can only pray that this passion won't turn into a desire to touch. But she reminds me of my younger sister in my previous life. She used to say that she only admired her OTP, one true pairing, and didn't actually want to be a part of it. Everybody has their ways of having fun, but maybe it's good that those people are of the same thought too. But, it's not like I don't understand the feeling of wanting to gently guide those without knowledge only to tease them as they panic from their first sensation of pleasure. What did you say? Things turn tense. One side wants to watch over young boys grow up healthily, and the other side wants to encourage their growth and dye them into their own color. Whether those are mutually exclusive, is something I don't know. Differences in viewpoints within people who have the same hobbies and tastes can sometimes even lead to war. My younger sister was generous, but there were still people who she used to clash with, so I understand. I was like that too. Looks like you need a revolution, miss. Okay, I'll play along all you want. Okay, time to run away. I simply thanked them and left. I don't think they heard me though. Another place he might have gone to is. After that, I tried checking places where Gray might have gone to. I searched the church, the inn, houses of the children close to him in age, Apricot's house, the academy students, but I couldn't find him anywhere. There was also a chance that I missed him, so I returned to the mansion once, but he wasn't there. At the entrance there was a memo left by Lady Violet, so if Gray had seen it, I'm sure he would have left a note or stayed here. In other words, Gray hasn't come back. All that's left is... I started thinking about all possibilities. It's fine if he's hiding as some kind of a prank, but when I think about how he might have gotten into an accident, it makes me uneasy. I don't want to think about this being a handiwork of some other person, just like that time with Ms. Schwartz, but I still have to keep it in mind. Although Gray is excellent at magic, he's very gullible. Suddenly, I felt something strange. The atmosphere in the mansion that I was familiar with was too different. I don't know what it is, but I just know that something is different. I tried thinking in a positive way that Gray is hiding in a mansion to surprise us, but this sensation I'm feeling is more negative. I took a quick look around the mansion to make sure that my feelings were wrong. As I looked around the needlessly large mansion, the feeling of discomfort receded. I wanted to fully get rid of it, but I just couldn't do it. I looked around my and Gray's rooms, and as far as I remembered nothing was missing, so I decided that it wasn't a robbery. Excuse me. And lastly, I arrived in front of Lady Violet's room. I apologized and bowed slightly to the door. I understand that entering the room without consent is rude, and I'll apologize to Lady Violet later too, but I wanted to confirm something at all costs. I opened the door and entered inside. From what I saw inside, nothing seems to have changed. There were no signs of anybody breaking in, and the inside wasn't ransacked in any way. I was just about to leave the room, feeling relieved that it was just a groundless fear and that I didn't have to stay long inside, when I spotted some papers on the desk. I know that if the content is personal, I shouldn't look at it, so I tried to avert my gaze immediately, but the words that stood out caught my eye even if I didn't want it to. There was a single sentence written on the first piece of paper. You don't deserve happiness. Aw, shit. Here we go again. Chapter 51, Consider Everything Calmly. In summary, what was written on the paper was: you don't have the right to be happy. You tried to make that person unhappy, so you should be unhappy too. It's unforgivable for you to relax in front of a servant and smile. Unforgivable, 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 unforgivable. That's mostly it. Although the name of that person hasn't been mentioned in this case, it must be His Highness Vermilion. There's something like "even if he was your fiancé" written too. And to make you unhappy, I will make the people around you disappear. Words like that have also been scribbled down. It said that if you hate someone, you'll hate everything that is theirs, so that's how Gray, who this person believes to be her servant, ended up being caught in the crossfire. After reading the letters, I looked up from the paper, grabbed the edge of the table where the letters were left and destroyed it. The wooden desk was easily crushed and the sound of destruction echoed through the room. Calm down. I feel livid. I also feel an urge to immediately go looking for Gray. But first, I have to sort out the situation. This letter was left in Lady Violet's room and not at the entrance or the living room. That means the culprit didn't expect me to find it. In other words, if I make a fuss, they might get provoked in a weird way. There's somebody who would write such a crude, threatening letter. I don't know what they might do if I provoke them. This might be different from a mystery novel, but I must think about the who had done it, the suspects. Suspect 1, Ash. The reason is because he still hates Lady Violet. In that case, Chartreuse also becomes a suspect, but rather than do something so roundabout, he's more of the type to directly pick a fight, so he's excluded. Ash is the type to completely corner the target that he considers an enemy. And he would do that without taking direct actions, instead intervening indirectly. It was to make sure that he would be safe from any consequences. He's somebody who would neither kill his targets, nor let them live, instead literally keeping them until the end of their usefulness. According to my memories, that is. There's also a possibility that his plan was to tell somebody who resents Lady Violet that she's in Shiki so he would have no need to get his hands dirty, but I don't think that's the case. Suspect 2, Ms. Nephrite. I don't want to think about it, but if her words about wanting to talk with Lady Violet were a lie and she wanted to get revenge for the harassment she'd received at the school from the start, she might have gotten angry at being unable to meet her and decided to take action. If this is really what happened, she's too scary. After all, this would mean that her words and her smile were all a lie. It's poisonous. But also a delicacy. One bite, just one bite. Ahaha. If even her expression of almost giving in to the temptation was a lie, she'd be an Oscar-worthy actress. I don't want that to be a lie, at least no, in a way I want it to be a lie. It's not uncommon for the heroine to eat poison and vomit, but I hope the sight of her shaking and breathing heavily while holding a poisonous plant in her hand was a lie. I feel like my sister in my previous life had a similar expression on her face whenever she discovered a new ship. Suspect 3, Azalea Academy students who came to Shiki. The so-called named students in Ring of Fire aren't the only ones who hold a grudge against Lady Violet. There might be students who were unable to disobey her due to their statuses or those who experienced hardships because of the Valentine family. If Lady Violet was in front of them in her current state. In other words, as Violet Valentine who has fallen from her former glory, and it made them think that right now they are in a superior position, they might have taken advantage of the victim's authority to act. It's true that the students displayed hostility and malice when they saw Lady Violet. So, it's not strange for them to confront her. Lord Heartfield, I would like to thank Dr. Ivory for healing my injuries. Do you mind telling me where to find him? Baron Heartfield, the vegetables here are very delicious, so would it be okay if I took some soil back to grow them in the academy too? I would also like to be introduced to somebody who would teach me how to grow them. Would that be fine? Lord Heartfield. You have it wrong. I wasn't trying to sneak into the hot spring. Right. I was simply trying to make a hot spring egg. It's fine even if I go into the hot spring. Yahoo! But I don't want to think that all those kids were full of malice. Even if they were, I don't want to believe that they would try to cause harm. However, if I have to doubt them, all of them are suspects. Suspect 4, Azalea Academy students who didn't come to Shiki. The Academy doesn't have all the information about what happened in Shiki yet, but just like how Ash got the information in his own way, somebody else might have also gotten the information about Lady Violet. And they went out of control, because they didn't know about Shiki's internal affairs. That's a possibility too. In that case, it would be easy to catch the culprit due to their lack of knowledge of the terrain and the lack of cover-up due to the impulsivity of the crime, but there's a high possibility that Gray won't be safe because of the culprit's agitated emotional state. Suspect 5, Gray. A one-man show. A result of consulting Cyan. In that case, I'll lecture everybody for a long time, but this would be the best possibility. Suspect 6, Ms. Schwartz. Ms. Schwartz's counterattack. She kidnapped Gray as a start. Let's calm down. It's a possibility, but she wouldn't have left a letter like this. Just in case, I should also keep in mind that Gray's disappearance and the appearance of the letters could be two different phenomena, and if I include bandits who could do this for profit, the suspects increase even more. However, there's a possibility that Gray wouldn't think that they were meeting for the first time and would create a chance for them to act. But still. I looked at the letters that I wanted to tear up right this instant and pretend that they didn't exist. From the middle, the writing became erratic as if it was casting a curse, but the characters at the beginning were thin and rather feminine. The text clearly showed their love for His Highness and their resentment towards Lady Violet. Were they really unable to forgive Lady Violet that much? You can hate anybody you want. I'm not mature enough to deny that. However, if you're going to lay your hands on my family, you better be prepared. If you're going to resent someone, don't complain if you get the same attitude back. Chapter 52, saying, "I'll protect you," sounds cool. Taking into account Gray's safety, it would behoove us to take immediate action, and I wish for nothing less. However, we're too in the dark to make any moves. Even if Gray was abducted, we have no way of knowing where he's being held. Or what kind of methods were employed to abduct him unbeknownst to anyone. Narrowing down the options based on time is unfortunately something I can't do by myself because I have too little information. That said, I can't just pick anyone's brain as there are simply too many suspects. Cyan, the priest, Ivory, and the other residents of Shiki are people I can trust, but I have no way of telling who's under the perpetrator's surveillance. As long as there's danger involved, I should only consult with those that are somewhat capable of defending themselves, but most everyone capable of such a feat all stand out. What should I do? I should also have a talk with Lady Violet. She has a very strong sense of responsibility. At the same time, she also had a fragile side to her. Regardless of whether I talk to her now or later, Lady Violet's would be in shambles at the end of it. Gray is precious to me, but so is Lady Violet. Moreover, though innocent, if Gray were to learn that his abduction caused much mental anguish for Lady Violet, who he loves very much, I'm sure he'll be very upset. Regrets like, if I had only been more careful, might haunt him after the dust settles on the whole incident. So, tell me, what's our plan? Lady Violet. Actually. Wait, as I restlessly paced the room mumbling to myself, wondering what to do, Lady Violet, who seemed to have heard me rambling, looked at me with a bewildered look on her face. That's weird. I didn't feel anyone's presence until a moment ago. It's almost like she popped up out of nowhere. I see. No way. Did Lady Violet? Did you use invisible dark? What's the matter, Lord CLO? You're saying things Apricot would. Oh dear. Now Lady Violet looks genuinely concerned for me. She came closer with her palm outstretched, but I waved my hands, reassuring her that I wasn't sick. Well, you see. I'm at a loss. She caught me before I had gathered my thoughts, so I'm not quite sure how to proceed. Should I be evasive? But if she finds out later, then she might feel hurt. I don't know what to do. Did you perhaps also not find Gray yet? Neither have I, forgive me. For letting something like this happen even though I was with him. Lady Violet looked very sorry as she expressed her apology. I could feel her concern for Gray and her regret at causing me concern. And her earnest wish for Gray to be safe. Lady Violet. What is it, Lord CLO? I decided to finally speak with her so as to quell her worries. Because I realized that she isn't just someone I must protect but a family member with whom I must cross life's hurdles together. Please stay calm and listen to what I have to say. I see. I understand the situation. Once I brought her up to speed, Lady Violet nodded, her face serious, which concealed her anxiety. She didn't seem surprised that Gray had come into harm solely due to his connection to her, but appeared calm as she thought of ways to deal with the matter, even as her right hand that wasn't holding the letter was curled up in a fist. Lord CLO, I'm sore for now, why don't we stop with the apologies? She breathed in, trying to switch gears, and turned to me once more, opening her mouth to apologize, but I cut her off before she could finish. It's true that her past was the reason this situation came to be, but I don't think apologizing to me here is the right thing to do. After everything is over, I'll listen to your apologies and we'll discuss my reward then. Let's just focus on the crisis at hand now. You're right. Lady Violet heeded my words and closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She opened her eyes and focused on the letter, and the look in her eyes changed. The kidnapper is Roshena, the child of a baron. And she revealed the name of the culprit just like that. It didn't sound like an assumption or conjecture, but she seemed sure, which made me wonder what had led her to the conclusion. Because this writing is the same as letters I and His Highness received before. The reason was much simpler than I had expected. Unless there's someone else helping her, the perpetrator who wrote the letter at the very least seems to be Roshena, a former classmate of Lady Violet's. Brown hair reaching up to her shoulders and brown eyes. A new noble belonging to a barony, the eldest child of the Rivers family. She seems to have written love letters to His Highness. And letters detailing her arduous love for His Highness to Lady Violet. It really is a surprise that she was able to avoid getting caught all this time. The letters would read, "A bird flees the moment you look away. If it's only going to be taken from you, then it's better to imprison it in a cage, and to make sure the lovers stay together for eternity, I wish to destroy it with my own 2 hands. I don't wish to see someone so proud and noble break down." And so on. A Yandere ha. Yandere. Or maybe she has mental health issues, but I know too little to make the distinction. Frankly, in either case, it would mean she's too in love that she can't even see the object of her affections anymore. Is the impression I get. I have nothing but pity for anyone who likes people with qualities like hers. Come to think of it, the contents of the letter sound familiar. Even the name Roshena sounds vaguely familiar now. To be honest, all I'm getting is a bad feeling. Anyway, what kind of a girl is she? If her love language is killing, then we need to find her now. If this girl called Roshena's love language is to destroy or rather take a life, then Grey is in danger. If Roshena is thinking that depriving her of a loved one would deter Lady Violet from loving, killing, again, then we must find her pronto. Well, Roshena is a guy. And I don't think he resorts to murder. Say what? Hold on. His Highness received love letters from this person, right? Yeah. But Roshena is also a guy, you say? Ah, he has a mix of elf, dwarf and human genes. I see now. A guy sent love letters to His Highness and looked upon Lady Violet with envy. For real? Yes, for real. Why? I just remembered. Roshena is a character that appears in that Otome game, Ring of Fire. He mostly appears in His Highness route, a guy with an elf's appearance and dwarf skills. And just like Ms. Schwartz, he plays the villain and has a few crazy fans in my previous world. He abducts the protagonist, Ms. Nephrite, but His Highness finds out where she's being held and rushes to apprehend the villainous heir. After losing to His Highness in combat, he cries the following words. I regard it the highest honor to have seriously contended with you, who I love so dearly. Yippee! So exclaims the pervert. Even Shiki doesn't have a pervert like him. I see. He's that character. Ha, then there's something I can do to deal with him, ahaha. Shit. It's him. This is bad in a number of ways. Lord CLO. In the event the crisis is resolved without consulting Lady Violet. Protecting her with great care increases favorability with Lady Violet. However, she grows distant. Chapter 53, a possibility that he's not much different from the residents of Shiki. There's a reason why Ring of Fire, the abbreviation for the Otome game, when the Ring of Fire is lit, world is painted red, sounds so disturbing. Ring of Fire symbolized the sun. In other words, from the title it can be inferred that the heroine and love interest couldn't see each other because it was dark, but after the sun rose and they could see each other's faces well, they both got embarrassed and their faces turned red. The title turns into something romantic. However, there are a lot of dangerous things happening in this game, and depending on your choices, the characters often die or get seriously injured. Moreover, in most cases, it happens after the characters separate from the main love interest. On the next day they're discovered by the main leads, who came to pick them up, lying covered in blood, usually dead. The main love interest who would come to pick up the heroine in the morning would find her collapsed, sometimes even dead. The characters were dyed in red along with the dawn. Thanks to that, fans proclaimed that the bad end was clearly a suspenseful murder scene, prologue, and the game became known as Ring of Fire. And a character called Roshena Rivers is one of the reasons why the game name is abbreviated as such. He has brown hair and brown eyes. He has a slim figure and he's around 180 centimeters tall. He's a male student of the same age as Lady Violet, whose specs combine the best features of elves, dwarfs and humans. He's the only son of the Rivers family, which bought their title with money, and his usual countenance shows that he has a friendly personality and good looks, which makes him popular among the female students at the academy. However, in reality he's a crazy Yandere character who's madly in love with the main love interest, His Highness Vermilion. He gets jealous of the heroine when she's in His Highness route and tries to make everybody around His Highness disappear to make him return to his previous solitary existence, while proclaiming, "I won't let that peasant steal you away from me." As a result of that, Ash gets injured, Chartreuse gets hospitalized due to ingesting poison, not life-threatening. Other strange things start happening at the love interest's house which makes him return to his hometown. Once His Highness starts to get anxious, Roshena ultimately kidnaps the heroine. He doesn't kill her or harm her when he first confines her. The reason for that is, if he finds out that you're alive, I'll get to see that person panic. And if I help him find you, His Highness will be grateful to me. Ah, what bliss! I can feel the heat accumulate in my lower abdomen. Because he has developed a perverted fetish. Moreover, not only does he want to hear words of gratitude from His Highness, he also wants to see His Highness' expression when he takes control of the heroine, so he tries to use mind control on her. In the end, heroine finds the opportunity to escape, but she's caught and brought back to the room. Thinking that he must punish her, Roshena comes up with a brilliant idea to send parts of her body to His Highness and wonders about how he would react. Just as he gets close to the heroine to bring this plan in action, he's defeated by His Highness, who rushes over. Furthermore, it seems that there were some fans who liked the confined life and proclaimed that they wanted to be controlled. I'm sorry, I lost my composure. No, it's fine. But do you know Roshena, Lord CLO? Yes, well, to some extent. Anyway, this guy is a pain in the ass. He doesn't respond to money demands. He doesn't care if his family is in danger. There's no point in using his parents for negotiation. He will only negotiate for something that will be beneficial for His Highness. In other words, the only negotiation material we have is something that will bring out His Highness' emotions or make Roshena realize that his actions will not benefit His Highness. Moreover, in case of the latter, if we fail, he'll be furious. Ms. Schwartz was easy to understand because all I had to do was negotiate with her about money, the orphanage or her client, but with this guy, even if I use the same words, he'll become a minefield if I don't follow the proper steps. If there's a single good thing, that would be. One thing we know for sure is that he has no intention of killing Gray. That's right. Roshena doesn't have the courage to kill somebody. It would be different if it was an accident or if he was cornered, but due to his personality, he's even unable to kill a monster that's trying to harm him. I don't know if I should call him kind-hearted or a coward. No, a kind-hearted person wouldn't have kidnapped Gray. But we can't let our guards down. While he doesn't have the courage to kill, he also thinks that anything is fine as long as he doesn't kill the other person. Yes, he also thinks that anything is fine as long as he doesn't kill the other person. There are times when he injures people under the guise of playing around. A small amount of malice that grows gradually may cross the line eventually. It's possible that it's happening right at this moment. What's more, the current situation is most likely the result of him discovering Lady Violet, who he considers to have harmed His Highness, and taking action. As long as she has no direct connection to His Highness at the moment, I don't know how the other person will act. By the way, why do you know him, Lady Violet? As I was thinking about Roshenna, something suddenly made me wonder. Thinking about Lady Violet's personality, she would immediately condemn the sender of the letter as soon as she'd found out their identity. I found out about the author of the letter the day before the duel and, frankly speaking, I only had the duel on my mind back then. I see. I couldn't pursue her any further. Anyway, let's find out where Roshenna is. Do you have an idea? Well, yes. As of now, we don't know Roshenna's whereabouts. I can narrow down possible hideouts and escape routes to some extent, but it'll take time to check all of them. But as long as we know who did it, there's something we can do too. Well then, let me show him what happens when he makes an enemy out of Shiki. The sun is setting. Let's finish everything before dawn. Chapter 54, Love. I don't know the details, but it seems that I've been kidnapped. The place I've been abducted to is the cave where Lord CLO was trying to increase the number of my mothers the other day. I'm being held at the back of the cave, locked up in a simple magic prison with magic sealing handcuffs. I was kidnapped by a person wearing Azalea Academy uniform, who was taller and more slender than Lord CLO, and had some elf characteristics. At first, I thought it was somebody from another town who'd come to report on something related to the investigation, and I was caught off guard. From now on, I'll make sure to not let my guard down just because the other person is wearing a uniform. For now, I must overcome this situation to actually have a future where I can do that. Foo, I did it, I really did it. I left the letter and captured the secretary too. I wonder what kind of expression His Highness Vermilion will make if he finds out that I trapped that woman. Foo. The man in front of me, who had been muttering incomprehensible things in front of me, has been muttering similar things since a while ago. Vermilion. If I remember right, he's the third prince and Milady's former fiancé. I don't really get it, but this person seems to have kidnapped me because of the third prince. In that case, the possible reason for kidnapping me could be: was my kidnapping related to Lord Vermilion? After I was able to confirm the situation I was in, I stopped acting like I was sleeping, sat up and asked my kidnapper. As a result, he trembled for a moment as he realized that I was awake and looked at me slightly panicked. At first he checked on me, but when he saw that I couldn't escape, he felt relieved and answered my question. Oh, sorry for suddenly kidnapping you, boy. This isn't enough for an apology, but I will say that the answer to that question is both yes and no. I was confused by his unexpectedly friendly demeanor, but I must not let my guard down. If I get too emotional, I'll lose, because I can't resist. Since I can't use magic and my physical abilities are far inferior to Lord CLO, in the worst-case scenario I might end up losing my life. First, I must organize the information I have and utilize it. If I can't resist, then I don't have to. It's not like I absolutely can't do anything. I should do something I can, instead of doing nothing and only waiting for the help to arrive. What does that mean? Fufufu, you're quite calm, boy. Your parents must have taught you well. That's why, out of respect for your attitude, I'll answer you. The person who kidnapped me stood in front of the prison, opened his arms wide and looked up at the sky. I felt strangely nervous as I waited for him to speak, as his gesture looked as if he was worshipping a higher being. What was this person trying to achieve even after going to the lengths of kidnapping me? I love Lord Vermilion. I don't think that's what I asked. That sparkling red hair. Beautiful violet eyes that could even overshadow jewels. The one and only solitary existence whose voice, arms, legs, muscles, physique, gestures, size, academic ability, athletic ability, magic and mana put him above everybody else. Ah, just remembering it makes me excited, so excited. Again, I don't think that's what I asked. I was fine with just watching over him from the shadows. It was enough for me to be spoken to from time to time, having my name remembered after getting good grades and sending him letters to let him know about my love. While I cannot reach him now, one day I want to stay by his side. So this is just a part of that process. Like I said, that's not what I... Wait, did this person say he loves Lord Vermilion? Lord Vermilion is the third prince and he was supposed to have become Milady's husband before Lord CLO. In other words, he is a man. If this person loves him, it means that my kidnapper wants to be in a romantic relationship with Lord Vermilion. In the same-sex romantic relationship. What? Isn't love like that something that is only possible between biological men and women? Fuh, you're too naive, boy. That is a trivial thing in the face of true love. My love for Lord Vermilion can easily transcend biological sex. How can this be? I have learned of a shocking truth that I didn't know until now. I see, so love can transcend not just the age gap but also sex. True, just like how race is irrelevant when you're in love, so is biological sex. In fact, the person in front of me is in love with a man despite being a man himself. Now that I see a live example in front of me, I can't deny it. No, wait. In that case, there's something I have to know. If biological sex is not an obstacle for love, then tell me. Don't tell me there's a possibility that I could be in a romantic relationship with Lord CLO. Lord CLO. Oh, you mean your master. It's highly possible, boy. Don't worry, the first step is scary for everybody. There's no need to be scared. Come on, take a step forward. I cannot believe this. I thought that I just adored Lord CLO who saved me from that place and treated me as his child, but what I thought was familial love all this time turned out to be romantic love. That's not good, Gray. Lord CLO is already married to Milady, who's also my mother. Lord Green also said that cuckolding is wrong. I have to lock away my feelings. My feelings are meant to be suppressed. They shouldn't exist. Lord CLO is a married man and he's also my master. Those feelings shouldn't exist. Do not be afraid, boy. Social status means nothing in the face of true love. Let us walk together, towards the never-ending love. What is with this person's words? They mysteriously reach the depth of my ears. It makes me imagine that everything he's saying is right. No, this is probably a case of Stockholm Syndrome I read about in a book. I love Lord CLO in a romantic sense. And I want to be ensnared. Is that really how I feel? Anyway, falling in love with him is unacceptable. Cool, I would never get into a romantic relationship with Lord CLO. Fu, fine. Let's see how long your willpower can last. Chapter 55, That's How It Is For Me. I was somehow able to endure it. It was a close call, but I managed to endure it by reasoning with myself that my feelings of adoration were not a romantic love, but rather respect and familial love. It really was a close call. Oh, you managed to resist my voice. You're quite something, boy. My kidnapper. The person named Roshena looked at me as if impressed. However, perhaps pulling me towards a strange path was just for fun and it wasn't something he was fully invested in. He merely expressed his pleasant surprise at me rebelling against his voice and soon turned his attention away from me, turning towards the entrance of the cave. It looked to me that he was confirming that the sun was setting from the light coming in from the cave entrance. There are traces that she read the letter. Well then, what will that woman do? Roshena muttered quietly to nobody in particular. He murmured, that woman, with disgust. Those words didn't sound like he hated all women just because he liked men, but rather like he abhorred the person in question instead. That woman most likely refers to the person who's the reason why I was kidnapped. She will take some kind of action due to me being kidnapped. In other words, this person has judged that I'm close to that woman. The only possible candidates I can think of are Lady Violet and Lady Apricot. There are other women who I'm close to, but from the fact that he's wearing an Azalea Academy uniform and that he called me his secretary earlier, the more likely candidate is. So you kidnapped me to degrade Lady Violet. As expected, Lady Violet had the highest possibility of being that woman. She's a good mother who I admire, but from the looks of the Azalea Academy students who've come to Shiki, even I can tell that they hate her. Is he one of those people who hate her? Yeah, that's right. That woman shouldn't be forgiven and she has no right to be happy either. That's why I'm going to steal you away from her, boy. Roshena easily admitted it as a fact. Lady Violet has no so-called right to be happy. I am often dense, but I want to loudly deny his statement. It must be painful for you to serve that woman too, boy. That wicked woman is. Please do not insult my mother. It might have been better to stay quiet, but I didn't want to hear any more of Roshena's words. Before I came to my senses, I had talked in hopes of interrupting what he was saying. Mother. Yes, Lady Violet is my precious mother. That woman is your mother. Then, perhaps not expecting my words, Roshena looked at me, as if he didn't understand what I was talking about. Maybe he didn't know that I was her stepson and only thought of me as her secretary. In that case, it would mean that Roshena really kidnapped me impulsively. It infuriates me that he wanted to ruin her happiness on a mere whim. You must be barely over 10 years old, right, boy? And yet you're saying that you're that woman's child. Yes. We might not be blood related, but both Lord CLO and Lady Violet are my precious parents. Trying to understand my words, Roshena put his hand on his forehead and took a thinking gesture. Eventually he arrived at a single answer and turned towards me with a look of understanding and pity. I see, so you are the Lord's adopted son and a butler. Then you're even more pitiful. I am sure you don't feel at ease having a mother like that either. No, while she may be clumsy, she's a wonderful, resolute person. Although both of them sometimes behave in ways that I don't understand, they are my precious parents who take good care of me. Boy, why are you objecting? Then, I don't know what he thought of my words, but he asked quietly. I don't understand. It's obvious you'll suffer terribly if you protect that woman in this situation, right? Despite this, I don't understand why you object even at the risk of being hurt. Roshena brought his face close to mine and asked me, as if he didn't understand the behavior of a child like me. His expression looked as if he had absolutely no idea why anybody would take Lady Violet's side. And the reason why I objected? It's simple. I would rather be hurt than listen quietly to my mother being insulted. That's all. Having the mother I respect be denied was more unbearable than being hurt physically. That was all. That woman isn't a worthy human like that. Then, Roshena raised his voice after hearing my words and got even closer to me. His voice, full of madness, echoed in the cave to an unbearable degree, evoking unpleasant feelings in me. That woman only exists to torment Lord Vermilion. Her very existence is evil. As if the little rationality he had left was keeping him from breaking the prison, he reached inside the prison and grabbed my cheeks. The expression on his face was dominated by a different kind of madness than before, letting me know that my words were unforgivable for him. That woman restrained him with words that tormented him, denied him, shackled him down under the guide on their childhood betrothal, intimidated those around him, went mad with jealousy, dragged the whole academy into it and even lost the duel. For her to be accepted on this land on top of all this should be impossible. Even though just her existence and her name itself is enough to torment Lord Vermilion. Don't screw around, don't screw around, don't screw around with me. Roshenna, who was speaking rapidly, wasn't talking to anybody in particular and seemed to only be thinking out loud. I don't know what, but even I, who's not educated enough, can understand that this person isn't qualified to say all this. Even if that's true for you, she's a good mother for me. That's why I'll say it. It might be tit for tat, but I have to say it. Even if she did something in the past that made the students of the academy hate her, it's true that the days I spent with Lady Violet are fun. Even if what this man thinks is true within him, this is what's true for me. I see. It seems you have been poisoned, boy. Even though it didn't have the same vigor as before, Roshenna's voice penetrated my ears to a frightening degree, encroaching them. It was as if the voice itself was imbued with mana and was trying to mix with the mana lurking inside me to create chaos. Now, forget her. You shouldn't leave that bitch even in the corner of your memories. I will remove the tumor called Violet from your mind. Listen to my voice. The voice echoed inside my brain. Mana, so vast, that I wouldn't be able to tell if I weren't conscious of it, came inside me. Even if I try to deny him, his words are so alluring, they're trying to slip inside me like a drug. Don't come. 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 If I let my guard down, I might lose something important to me. You're the tumor, Roshenna Rivers. Just as the mana I thought was about to disappear was on the verge of pouring inside me, a voice I've become used to hearing in my everyday life echoed in the cave. Rivers, I don't care what you gossip about me or how you insult me. But, a dignified voice. A fearless bearing. Her hair is a little disheveled from rushing over, but her beautiful violet hair and powerful blue eyes are still the same. If you touch my son, you're dead. The woman, whose strength I admired, stood there. Chapter 56, Never Relinquish the Lead. Roshenna Rivers can use word magic. Explained CLO, while en route to the cave where Gray was believed to be held. I'd never heard of Rivers being able to use something like word magic. What even is word magic in the first place? Lord CLO, just what in the world is word magic? Simply put, think of it as the kind of magic that allows one to control things using words. Apparently word magic is the process of imbuing mana in the words uttered which makes the listener acknowledge them as truth. It seems animals and monsters can be ordered around using word magic. Is it similar to what Miss Schwartz was capable of? No, she had monsters help her by communicating her thoughts to them, but please think of word magic as forcefully robbing someone of their own will. Still, only simple commands work. For example, commands like, attack anyone who comes in, or, patrol the area and inform me if you spot someone corresponding to this particular characteristic. That said, even anything that possesses a certain level of intelligence like humans can be controlled as one wishes. However, it would take a great deal of time. If that were to happen to Gray, it would put him in a precarious situation. I have no idea why Lord CLO is privy to details concerning River's magic that even people at the Azalea Academy didn't know, but River's magic encroaches on dangerous territory. We must rescue Gray ASAP. Apricot. Can you track him? It's possible if we track the traces of the magic we caught whiff off earlier. I told the priest to inform Cyan, Robot, and also Brown to follow after us. Got it. I'll make him rue the day he decides to lay a hand on my son. Come on. Let's go. You. The moment he spotted me, Rivers let go of Gray and turned around to face me with his face filled with hatred. Back at the academy, he always had a smile on his face and treated everyone with kindness, uncharacteristic of a new noble. But no trace of that could be seen in his countenance anymore. So, this is his true nature. A Yandere, if I were to borrow Lord Cielo's words. Anyway, I wonder if the aggressive demeanor and bloodshot eyes are the true Rivers. You dare show your face to me, Violet Valentine. It's Heartfelt now. Get it right. Who cares? Rivers used fire magic, which I've seen him utilize back at the academy. Fire dwells in both his hands and feet as he looks at me menacingly. Maybe it's because he's taken leave of his senses, for he ran his fiery hands across his cheeks and spun his words like he was spewing curses. Finally we meet. You not only troubled Lord Vermilion with something foolish like a duel, you also had the nerve to live in a place like this and be happy with a family. Oh, I see. I'm not particularly pleased to see you, but I'm glad if it makes you happy. Cut the crap. I certainly sense some magic imbued in his words. It's not just because of Rivers' words reverberating through the cave, but it was as if the words themselves carried weight that it made my body go stiff. You are obligated to spend your life atoning for what you did, and you have no right to live happily. That's why I kidnapped Gray to throw me into a pit of despair. Exactly. The flame on his limbs flared up, intimidatingly. That's quite the inhuman obligation. It's not as if I'm some kind of enslaved criminal, though I might as well be one to Rivers. Sorry, while I intend to make amends for my past sins, I don't intend to let it rule my life. What did you say? Did you not hear me? I will live my life happily, shamelessly so. You have no place in it. But Gray does. If I were the same person as before, I would have secured Gray's safety in exchange for mine. If he had threatened to harm his eyes, ears, or one of his arms, I may have resorted to negotiation. However, I'm different now. Just as I said to Ms. Robot, I will live happily with my head held high. For which I need Lord Cielo. And Gray. To be happy, I need my family that smiled at me. I don't wish to lose them. I could go on, but... Isn't it hot, your face? I'll kill you. I thought you wanted me to atone for my sins. I'll kill you. I tried to poke the bear, but he was already far beyond the reach of my voice, as he was openly displaying his resolve to attack me. Okay, it doesn't look like he's going to harm Gray. I had a different plan in mind to deal with it if he had, but now I can put an end to this by taking on Rivers. Well then. Rivers' word magic is cause for concern, but as far as magic prowess goes, Rivers fell into either the upper intermediate or lower advanced category. So, there's no way I'd lose to him. Don't let your guard down. Keep an eye on Gray. I need to be the one to resolve the problem I created. Kill that woman. However, Rivers completely dashed my expectations. It was as if he was calling out to someone else who was present. I wonder if he's calling for the monsters outside the cave. Unfortunately for you, Lord Cielo and the others should have subdued. What then? But contrary to what I thought, I could hear heavy footsteps approaching me. I couldn't make out what it was in the dark, but once it got near River's flames, I could see its appearance even if against my will. Gross. I and Gray spoke at the same time, which reverberated through the cave like an echo. Come to think of it, Lord Cielo did warn us. That even monsters can be controlled through simple commands, and the longer they are trained, the more complex the commands they can carry out. Meaning, depending on the time spent, the stronger the enforcement of will on the monster. That said, this is still taking it too far. Ha, ha 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 ha. Charge, Lord Vermilion Orc number 7. Slaughter that woman with that noble face of yours. Jaya. The monster that appeared was an orc, a C-class monster. It was somewhat lacking in intellect, but its well-built physique resulted in growing reports of victims every year, and it could truly be a good representation of monsters in general. But that's still okay. Though it would be hard for me to take on both Rivers and the orc at the same time, I can still buy time until Lord CLO and the others outside join me. I just need to make sure to keep Grey away from harm. However, I do take issue with the monster's appearance. What if it pops up in my and Grey's nightmares? What the hell, Rivers? That's right. The face of the orc is a carbon copy of His Highness. Swole with green-colored skin, tall enough to reach the top of the cave, but its face was disproportionately small on that of His Highness. It looked like the two had been forcefully combined together. Yeah, it's exceedingly gross. Don't worry. You won't be dreaming anymore. Go, Lord Vermilion Orc number 7. Take off. Jaya. I'm sure it's not just my imagination that the orc's roar felt more sad than chilling. Question: judging from how he's modified a monster to do his dirty work, would it be right to assume that Rivers doesn't have the guts to kill or finish off a person or monster? Answer: please be patient, everything will be clear later. Chapter 57, A Perverted Muscled Macho Man. Rivers, you bastard. How could you put your beloved's face on an orc? Do you really love His Highness? What are you talking about? Isn't this proof that even a stupid monster can become a wonderful being with Lord Vermilion's face? Cool, it's no use, this man is crazy. I thought I'd become used to strange people, but this is the first time I'm seeing someone crazy in this way. You don't seem to understand Lord Vermilion's worth. As I thought, you are not somebody who would be able to love Lord Vermilion. If that's your proof, I'm fine with not loving him. What? Is that really something Lord Vermilion's former fiancé should be saying? Shut up. Shit, this man is so annoying. My tone might be rougher than usual, but frankly speaking, I don't think it can be helped. Who could have imagined that I would be attacked by an orc with the face of His Highness, who I've loved for 10 years? The orc was freely wielding its strength inside this narrow cave. With His Highness' face. It approached me with a war cry, while with His Highness' face. When I attacked it, it looked pained. With His Highness' face. It did everything with His Highness' face. Do you hate me that much, Your Highness? Please calm down, Mother. That's not His Highness. Ha, that's not good. This situation is so incomprehensible that my brain decided to reject it, and I almost recognized this orc as His Highness. If not for Grey's voice, I was about to trip into a strange world. I'll give something sweet to him later as thanks. Ah, how wonderful. Like I thought, Lord Vermilion Orc N7 that I modified is the closest to the real Lord Vermilion's face. Its face when it's using force, its shouting face, even its face in agony is exactly like Lord Vermilion. He's so noisy, I want to shut this man up, but I don't have the luxury to do so. I have a hard time fighting this orc not only because of the location we are at, but also because of how strong it is. I don't know whether Rivers also modified its physical abilities with word magic, but it keeps throwing punches that would leave me severely injured if I get hit. In addition, Grey is also near Rivers, so it's hard to target just him, and if I use weaker magic, it'll be blocked by fire magic. However, I don't know if this is because of the orc's low intelligence, but it's easy to lure it out because it's simply attacking in the direction I'm in. Outbreak water. Ice. Lighting. Jaya. Then, I froze its feet to slow its movement and gradually inflicted damage to it with Hitandran tactics. It caused His Highness' face to distort, so it was hard to do, but I can't focus on that. I must defeat this orc, if only for Gray's sake. I'm sorry for being late, Lady Violet. Are you Anjuo? What's with this muscly pervert? As I was slowly chipping away at the orc's endurance, Lord CLO, who had been subjugating the brainwashed monsters outside, ran up to several meters behind me and looked shocked when he saw the orc. I'm sorry, Lord CLO, I couldn't do it alone. No, that's fine, but what is that? It's an orc that Rivers brainwashed with word magic and modified it to have His Highness' face. What kind of hellish modification is this? I don't want to know. Fair enough. Lord CLO knew about Rivers' magic for some reason, but this brainwashing and modification seemed to have been unexpected for him. He looked as if he was concerned about how to deal with it. The orc also forcefully moved its frozen feet and focused on the two of us as its targets. Phew 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 phew. So your husband, the Lord, is here too. Just bereft. Lord Vermilion Orc number 7. Kill the man first to make her suffer. Jaowia. It's coming, Lord CLO, be careful. Yesku, seeing His Highness scream like that is really unbearable. Also, your naming sense sucks. Lord CLO had probably never faced a monster like this. He was having a hard time landing a hit on the orc. However, while he wasn't landing any hits, he wasn't getting hit either, parrying the attacks with minimal movements instead of evading them widely. Thanks to this, the orc's body did not move much, so it was easy for me to aim my magic. However, we were one step short. The orc was rampaging and wielding all its strength in the narrow cave, so even if it was aiming at Lord CLO, the aftermath of the attack reached me too, and I wasn't able to cast high-tier magic. In order to defeat it, I have to move away and cast high-tier magic. Foo, you phew 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 phew. Now, mow him down, Vermi, flash. The moment Rivers was about to issue another order, an attack that had turned into a beam of light struck the orc. Wah! Why are you here? Short, dark green hair and sharp, almond-shaped eyes. A former classmate with one of the best physical abilities at the academy. Chartreuse had clearly damaged the orc's torso. Rivers, who looked confused by the arrival of the unexpected reinforcement, and the state of his orc, showed a clear weakness. Tisk, it's not stopping Lady Apricot. Stop with that name. Set Thanatos. Then, Apricot, who had finished casting the spell, followed up with an attack on the orc's body with a dark magic that I had never heard before. The orc's body was pierced through from the wound inflicted by Chartreuse's flash, tearing its body and inflicting an obvious fatal wound to it. After confirming that it had been shot through, Chartreuse, who approached the orc without relaxing his stance, tried to confirm whether it was alive or dead. He took a clear look at the orc's face. Perhaps he couldn't see it well until now because it was dark inside the cave, but Chartreuse's face was filled with shock. Your Highness. Why are you on the orc's body ah? Did I defeat His Highness who had transformed into a monster? His Highness, you say? Did I just kill a royalty? Oh. Lord Vermilion Orc number 7. No, Lord Vermilion. And agonizing cries resounded. What am I supposed to do with this? Chapter 58, The Assembly of Fighting Force incurs wrath. Hail Amitabha Buddha, hail Amitabha Buddha. Rest in peace, former orc. Lord CLO had clasped his hands together in front of the orc while chanting words I didn't understand. I'll ask him what he was doing later, but for now, I have to calm down these two, who've been looking at the orc's remains with an expression I've never seen on their faces before. Calm down, Apricot, Calvin. This orc was modified by Rivers. It's not His Highness. Is that true, Lady Violet? You're not lying just to console me, right? Yeah. Rather, if it was actually His Highness, I would have gladly joined hands with you to put him out of his misery. Foo, don't underestimate me, Valentine. Two have not fallen enough to need consolation from you. Don't stutter if that's what you actually think. Wait, does Chartreuse still think that the orc is His Highness? He's shaking as if he's done something deserving of death. No, it's true that this orc has His Highness face, and if I were in Chartreuse's position, I might have reacted the same way. How dare you? How dare you kill Lord Vermilion? How could you kill the orc with the face of my beloved Lord Vermilion? Ah, but he's beautiful like this too. Really? Alright, now that the orc is gone, it's time to silence him. Chartreuse and Apricot, who rushed over to help us, are mentally unstable and can't be counted on as a fighting force, and Lord CLO is. How do you cast this word magic? Lord CLO was looking at the orc's corpse as if he had noticed something. Until a while ago, he was creeped out by the unbalanced-looking orc, but now, he looked as if he had some questions about River's magic. However, he immediately realized that it wasn't the time for it, and turned to face Rivers. Roshenna Rivers. You have no intention of being caught quietly, do you? We came here after subjugating monsters in the vicinity. You understand the difference in our strength, right? Lord CLO told him that if he stayed obedient, his crimes would be lighter. Though, he would need to raise his hands to avoid provoking further action, and showing that he has no intention of attacking. Lord CLO was trying to avoid making Rivers feel cornered so he wouldn't attack Gray. As if hoping to go through to him as much as possible with a conversation. Not yet, it's not over yet. I've gathered all my forces for this day. Besides, my word magic works on the half-dead too. Wake up. But his attempt ended in vain. Rivers increased the fire that dwelled inside him and gave an order containing stronger mana than I've felt until now. Then, the orc, which should have been mortally wounded, moved slightly and tried to get up. I couldn't sense any will behind its actions. It was literally just a moving body. Lord CLO. Yes, this presence is the same as before. In addition, the presence of monsters around us was becoming stronger. Perhaps I'm sensing something strange mixed in because there are some monsters here that are being made to move forcefully like the orc, even though they shouldn't be able to move. Just how crazy is this guy? Phew. I don't have to defeat you guys in a battle, I just have to buy enough time. Boy, if I have you, they can't touch me. You. Rivers laughed loudly and approached the makeshift prison where Gray was, while Apricot and Chartreuse panicked at the change in the situation. They quickly took a stance to intercept him. I also turned my gaze around to try and grasp the monsters approaching us from the surroundings, trying to understand them as much as possible. Assuming that Cyan will do something about the surrounding monsters. I see. You were going to set them on Lady Violet. You would be setting all your fighting force on her. Lord CLO was the only one who didn't change his stance, only lowering his arms and muttering something quietly. He checked the surroundings. Then he confirmed that the orc was standing between us and Rivers. Sorry, orc. He literally kicked the orc away. Ha! Instead of floating up, the orc's body glided straight about 10 centimeters off the ground, as if it was a light object that had just been thrown. It hit the wall next to Rivers, opposite of where Gray was. The aftershock echoed loudly inside the cave. Everybody lost their balance, unable to stand properly. In that moment, only Lord Cielo kicked off the ground and quickly closed the distance between him and Rivers. Don't mow. Too slow. Faster than Rivers could compel him to act with word magic, Lord Cielo grabbed Rivers by the neck with his right hand. He then tightened it so that he couldn't speak. So quick. Lord Cielo's speed in that moment was so fast that it made Chartreuse become wary of him despite being his ally. I knew that Lord Cielo had excellent physical abilities, but I had never seen him this fast before. Lady Violet or Apricot, can either of you use silence? Sir Chartreuse, I'm sorry, but can you dispel the prison and put Grey's magic sealing handcuffs on Rivers? Whenever Rivers tried to cast magic, Lord Cielo would tighten his hand and block him from invoking magic. He did so while making a request to us in a calm voice, once which I have never heard before. Chartreuse and I were dumbfounded, but only Apricot understood the situation, and approached Lord Cielo to cast silence on Rivers. Is she used to this? Although it took us a little time to wake up, we followed Apricot's suit and approached the prison to dispel it and remove magic sealing handcuffs. Should I ask Ms. Nephrite? The words Lord Cielo muttered quietly were drowned out by the surrounding noise. Chapter 59, Just Getting Started. Grey, are you alright? After destroying the cell bars and placing the magic sealing handcuffs on Rivers, the first thing I did was check on Grey. Yes, I'm fine. Thank you, M.O. Lady Violet. Perhaps Grey realized that Chartreuse was within earshot, for he swallowed the mother that almost escaped his lips and addressed me with propriety. Ignoring the fact that it saddened me, I was more concerned about Grey's condition. I checked if he had been brainwashed using word magic or had any other kind of magic cast on him. He did seem fine at a glance, but it would be a good idea to have the priest take a look at him later just in case. The only other thing that worried me. Grey, did he do anything weird to you? For instance, did he ever look at you like Mr. Bly does? I don't think so, but I'm also not quite sure what you mean. Lady Violet, I understand where you're coming from, but please calm down. There's certainly a possibility that Rivers had untoward intentions. Grey may be androgynous, but he's cute. There's no telling if Rivers wouldn't have tried anything after locking him up and sealing his magic. All right. His clothes aren't in disarray, nor can I find any strange traces. Good. Valentine, it's all well and good that you're concerned, but would you pay more attention to what's going on around you? It's Heartfelt. I'll admit you have a point. While I was preoccupied with Grey, Chartreuse chastised me by way of caution. Right, as a result of Rivers ordering all the monsters, including the ones in the vicinity, to wake up, the monsters under his control were running wild. There aren't any approaching this place. Meaning, Miss Cyan and the others are dealing with them. So we are fine for now, but there's no saying when the monsters will come at us too. I need to be vigilant. Roshena. Spit out the details on how many and what kind of monsters you let loose. Lord Cielo drew closer and attempted to extract information from him. But he gestured, as if greatly exasperated, that the silence spell I cast on him had rendered him mute even if he wished to speak. His face pisses me off. The effects of the spell have worn off by now, and I'm sure you can speak. I don't know what went through Lord Cielo's mind after seeing his response, for he sighed and punched the closest wall of the cave, and when his fist sunk into the wall, he pulled out a rock and crushed it to bits. Upon seeing which, Chartreuse took on a defensive stance against Lord Cielo. I see. I suppose there's no other choice if you won't talk. In the process of apprehension, my hand slipped and you got hurt. At least that's how the story will go. There really is no other choice. If you thought a simple threat like that would work on me, I'll pull out all the hair on the orc's head before your very eyes. After which, I'll proceed to doodle on its head. All right. I'll comply, so please don't. Rivers folded just like that. Lord CLO is great at hitting someone where it hurts. Based on the information we got from Rivers, we subjugated the rest of the monsters and moved on to undoing Rivers' brainwashing. We regrouped with Ms. Cyan, the priest, and the others. After sharing the information with them, everyone did their part in making sure Shiki would remain unharmed. Seeing as how this whole incident was orchestrated by an Azalea Academy student, Ash and the rest of the students also helped out in dealing with the aftermath. I never imagined you could go this far, Rivers. TCH, in the middle of the cleanup, I requested Lord CLO to be put on guard duty for monitoring Rivers. I really needed to have a conversation with him about the kidnapping incident. Though his magic is sealed and he is bound, Lord CLO was still concerned for my safety. As such, he's standing watch from a distance. I don't understand why Lord Chartreuse and Lord Ash are helping a woman like her. I thought you were pining after His Highness Vermilion. Why? How? Are you trying to tell them they forgave her? Something doesn't add up. I don't get it. To be exact, they are only helping because of the problem he caused, but Rivers takes it as them helping me on behalf of His Highness. In other words, he equates opposing him, as he tries to throw me in a pit of despair, to them taking my side. I had no idea he was this kind of a guy back when we were in the academy. But I wonder if loving someone means that you could lose your mind like this. I don't expect you, Austin or Calvin, to forgive me anytime soon. I will atone for my wrongdoings. And I'll have you do so for yours, Rivers. I'm not trying to sweep everything under the rug like it never happened, as I said earlier. I don't expect His Highness or her to forgive me, and even if they did, society certainly wouldn't. Nor would my parents. Let me ask you one last thing, Valentine. It's Heartfelt. What is it? I wonder what Rivers felt upon hearing me, for he stopped mumbling the same word under his breath and his expression and tone reverted to that of his from back when we were in the academy as he asked me a question. Is that man supposed to be your rebound after High Highness Vermilion? That's an awful way of putting it. Answer me. Are you clinging on to him because he accepted you? That only makes it sound like I'm going where the wind takes me. Maybe he's not wrong. Be that as it may, I went through the same thing with Ash. Is it so hard to understand? The answer is simple. His Highness never loved me till the end, but that doesn't take away from the fact that I loved him or that I love Lord CLO and Grey, that they are both precious to me. Because if I keep letting my past bog me down and refuse to look forward, I might end up making many people miserable. I see. I don't know how he took my answer, and he might still be feeling hostility towards me, but Rivers responded as if convinced. It's hot. Some distance away, Lord CLO was tugging at his shirt in an attempt to fan himself. Did all the physical activity raise his body temperature? I wonder if I should prepare a refreshing meal for him later. Making a mental note to do just that, I switched to thinking about what to do going forward. Starting with Grey, I ended up inconveniencing a lot of people this time. And I can't guarantee it won't happen again. People with a grudge against me or ones that act thinking it was to the benefit of His Highness, could pop up any time. I would end up making trouble for many people, like that matter with the report that was delivered just before Grey disappeared. To make things better, even a little, I need to come up with a plan. What? No, please wait a second, you can't just walk up, right now. Not yet, but I'm worried, hurt or something, and as I stood watch over Rivers, thinking what to do from this point forward, I heard Lord CLO talking with someone. Judging from the voice, it sounded like one of the female students, but even when I looked in his direction, I couldn't make her out as the wall of the cave cast a shadow on Lord CLO. No, that is a familiar voice from my days in the academy. There's no way I could forget it. Ah, hang on. There you are, Violet. Are you okay? A young girl evaded Lord CLO, slipped past him and ran up, calling out to me. A girl with long, blonde hair with a red tinge and distinctive, almost transparent eyes. Someone I talked with a lot in Azalea Academy. A commoner classmate I knew all too well ran up to me with her face full of concern. She is. Chapter 60, She is the One and Only. Kriemhild. The person who came running towards me was a commoner classmate with reddish golden hair and characteristic near-transparent eyes, who treated everyone cheerfully and had many things that I lacked. It was Kriemhild, whom I tried to distance myself from and warned many times to not act familiar with me. However, she still kept talking to me and being friendly despite the matter with His Highness and all other classmates drifting away from me. Oh, I see. So she also came to Shiki for the investigation. Things got rough at that time, but this girl's smile is as dazzling as ever and she possesses something that I don't have. I'm jealous of her now, but I'm not envious. It's been a while, Kriemhild. Have you been in good health? Ahaha, yeah, I'm fine. I greeted Kriemhild with the smile that was often on my face ever since I came to Shiki. My smile is probably awkward, but someday, I want to interact with people with a natural smile like Lord CLO and Kriemhild. Although her smile also tends to be awkward at times. I'm glad that you look fine too, Vi. I was worried because you suddenly disappeared from the academy while I went back home. Besides, there was also a kidnapping and I heard from Ash that you marched into the kidnapper's place alone. Gh. I'm sorry about leaving the academy. I didn't have much time at that time. Were you that worried about me? Of course. If my friend disappeared, I'd feel lonely and worried. I see, thank you. This girl is really dazzling and kind. She can do her best for others and she even calls somebody like me her friend. I'm sure that if she hadn't gone back home when I was dueling that woman, she'd have stood by my side regardless of our positions. Though, the way I was back then, I might have rejected her even if she had proclaimed herself as my ally. Besides, didn't I tell you that Roshena was dangerous? There was something suspicious about the way he was looking at His Highness Vermilion. Kriemhild said while glancing at Rivers. Now that I think about it, I was able to determine the sender of the letter because Kriemhild said that he was suspicious. There's something lustful in his gaze, is what she said, but at that time I couldn't bring myself to believe her. You said that the way I looked at Lord Vermilion was suspicious. Don't be stupid, I've only been looking at him with pure envy. I don't think it counts as pure if that's your own evaluation. She's absolutely right. Would somebody who looked at him purely with envy change an orc's face to that of His Highness? No, calm down, Violet. That's impossible. You wouldn't understand my feelings of respect. Then what would you think if I said I think of myself as a pure pretty maiden while winking? Would you think that I was pure? Even if it was a fact, the moment you become aware of it, you're no longer pure. That's how it is. Rivers hung his head at Kriemhild's words. She shows this kind of side sometimes. I don't know if I should call her strong or tough. Please wait. Then, somebody called out to us while we were talking. When we looked at the questioning person who had called out to us, we found Lord CLO with his hand on his forehead, desperately trying to understand the situation. Excuse me. May I ask a question? Is she, not the person who you dueled at the academy, Lady Violet? A duel? Are you sure you don't mean a mock battle during training? Yes. I'm talking about a duel with His Highness at stake. You're wrong. There is no reason for me to duel Vi. Why does Lord CLO look as if he can't make a sense of what's happening? Besides, I would never challenge her to a duel. It's not like she ensnared His Highness and the others just like that woman. Is it like this? Did you misunderstand that Kriemhild was the person I dueled because she also uses alchemy magic? Oh, I see. That girl also uses alchemy magic just like me. The opponent I dueled also used alchemy magic like Kriemhild. Since Lord CLO only knows that I dueled a girl who uses alchemy magic, and because alchemy magic is also rare, Lord CLO must have mistook Kriemhild for my opponent. Maybe the female student who wanted to see me was Kriemhild. That's why he said it was a girl who was involved in the duel. You're right. Now that I think about it, I might have made a judgment without knowing her well. So, that's why you were reluctant to let me meet Vi. Now that I think about it, I haven't properly introduced myself to you. As expected, she's the one who wanted to meet me. And Lord CLO was trying to divert her attention and avoid letting us meet. Does that mean that my duel opponent hasn't arrived in Shiki? Although I'm sure we'll meet again someday. My name is Kriemhild Nephrite. I'm from the countryside from the outskirts of the kingdom and I'm good at alchemy magic, but I'm still in training. I'm 148 centimeters tall, but nowadays I've been thinking that I'd like to be a little taller. I'm also technically looking for a boyfriend. Honestly, I'm envious of Vi because of her height and her husband. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Yes, pleased to meet you. Giving a salute that didn't suit her, but she introduced herself in a way that gave a good idea of her personality, despite not being asked. She said that she wanted to be taller, but I don't think she cares about her height too much. If I remember correctly, she once said something about using it to her advantage because she could look up naturally. Kriemhild, as a lady, I don't think it's appropriate to appeal that you're looking for a partner. No, Vi. Love is war. If I'm not proactive, a good partner will quickly be taken by somebody with higher specs. I think you get hit on quite a lot though. Kriemhild is cute and she has many male friends, including the nobles. So, I think she's hit on quite often. At that time, I thought that she was acting improperly, but now, I think that it's a part of her charm, so I think she'll find the good partner she's talking about. Even if you say that, I'm often told that you're a good friend, but I can't see you as a woman. Who said that? You're overflowing with feminine charm. They say that it's scary to see me make bombs with alchemy magic and kill monsters. Ah. You think the same too, Vi. It's true that her physical abilities are a little above the average human girl, but in terms of combat abilities, if she can use weapons made with alchemy magic, she's honestly strong. Even her lovely, ahaha smile can be seen as her maniacally laughing if she does it in the middle of the battlefield while killing somebody. That's why I was happy when Mr. Kaki confessed to me. Anybody but that man. Tell him that you'll blow him up with a bomb if he approaches you again. He'll probably survive it though. Do you have a grudge against him? Or more importantly, he'd survive it. I don't have a grudge against him, but I just know that that guy isn't a good choice. And I have enough faith in his mysterious durability to know that he'd survive after being hit by a bomb. Oh, oops. I have to do something about the monsters that are being controlled. Now that I've confirmed that you're fine, I'll be going, Vi. Let's talk later. Yeah, talk to you later. Kriemhild waved and left with the same carefree smile. I wonder if Lord CLO would be happy if I acted like her. Maybe I should try it next time. What's happening? Was it my misunderstanding? The only thing that bothered me was the fact that Lord CLO had. There was a complicated expression on his face. Don't tell me. Are you cheating on me, Lord CLO? Ha! Absolutely not. Author's note. Kriemhild Nephrite. Cream-colored hair and near-transparent nephrite-colored eyes. CLO didn't misunderstand anything. She's the real heroine of the Otome game. When the ring of fire is lit, world is dyed red. However, she seems to be close with Violet, the Villainess. She has no default name in the game. The one friend Violet mentioned in Chapter 6 was referring to her. She can use alchemy magic, which is rare in this world. Chapter 61, Is it a deviation or are we fine? The girl I know is positive and straightforward. The girl I know is someone who would fall deep in love. A love that transcends social status with a noble or the future king. She would protect her loved one from an assassin, improve her alchemy magic with the help of her love interest and borrow the strength of many people to defeat the sealed dragon to save the kingdom from the crisis. She would have her feats acknowledged, sometimes even becoming a princess or a court alchemist. It would be different if I was simply told that she was different from who I knew. Somehow, I was feeling a different kind of discrepancy. As if somebody else was sitting in her position. As if paint had been spilled into clean water. There would be no problems with this change because the shape would remain the same, but I shouldn't leave it alone. That's how I felt. She was definitely strong and excellent. In Azalea Academy, only 2 people, including her, could use alchemy magic, and she had a promising future ahead of her as one of the best alchemists in the kingdom. While many people, mostly nobles, frowned at the way she treated nobles and commoners equally, those who knew her well would say that this was a part of her personality that shouldn't have been discarded, even if it meant creating more enemies for her. That was the kind of a small human girl she was. That's the way she is. While she may seem unstable in a way, she has the strength to overcome obstacles. That was Ash's opinion of her. Yesterday I was busy dealing with the brainwashed monsters, and today, the students are going back to the Azalea Academy. So, I asked Ash about Ms. Nephrite. Ms. Creamhild while doing a report. When I asked him about how she behaved at the academy, I got the aforementioned answer, but it seems that Ms. Creamhild, His Highness Chartreuse and Ash seem to only interact with each other because they're classmates. They all naturally attract attention, but they don't seem to be very close. The reason I think so is because most of his evaluation was accompanied with, from what I've heard, and when I asked him if she was close to His Highness and him, he gave me a strange look and told me that she was most likely closer to Lady Violet. It's possible that he's just not telling me the whole truth, but he assured me as His Highness valet, she wasn't close to him. Though, it could be just to avoid spreading strange rumors. Still, he looked as if he truly didn't understand why I would think so. Sir Ash, I apologize for inconveniencing you regarding this matter. No, it's an unforgivable scandal that a student of our academy would commit such a crime. I am the one who has to apologize. Please raise your head. Ash bowed to me apologetically. Considering our social statuses, it's unthinkable for a marquis like Ash to bow to a baron like me, and knowing his personality, it's even more unthinkable. In Ring of Fire, unless you're in Ash's route or the true route, he's the type of the person who'll only apologize on the surface to somebody who's of lower status than him. Even if he were in a bad position, he would only apologize shallowly, make enough amends so that other people wouldn't be able to complain and get it over with. He would never truly lower his head to anybody. I only swear loyalty to His Highness and the royal family. It's impossible for me to lower my head to anybody other than them. Although you can't tell at a glance, his personality is embedded with the status system of the noble society, even though it is not obvious at a glance. When the player enters his route, he begins to change his mind about the difference in status. As a graduate myself, I would be troubled if bad rumors spread about Azalea Academy, so I don't mind keeping things a secret. However, I would like for Roshena Rivers to atone for his crimes. Please rest assured. My family will take full responsibility to punish this unforgivable crime. We will teach him that his actions, which he claimed came from his love for His Highness, were nothing but an illusion, whether he likes it or not. Oh yeah, this is the Ash I know. Due to his pride as a noble, he will not overlook the misconduct of other nobles. Roshenna will be punished in a fitting manner. And the River's family will fall. In a way that cannot be mentioned. RIP. Okay. I will leave it to you. Please be gentle with him. Ha ha ha, I know. I see, ha. Yes, please leave it to me. Ha ha ha. Ash's laughter was scary enough to make me worry instead. Meanwhile, I also have to keep in mind that Roshenna could be Ash's assassin, but from the looks of it, it would be hard to get close to the captured Roshenna. By the way, Baron Heartfield. Vale, no, there is one thing I would like to say. Yes, please go ahead. Ash said that he was going to check on the captured Roshenna and make a final check before returning to the academy, but before cutting off the conversation and leaving, he decided to say something else, as if he'd just remembered it. It's probably about Lady Violet. He might have been undecided the other day, but I'm sure that hates Lady Violet. I wonder if he's going to tell me to be careful like Chartreuse. Please take good care of your wife. I pray that you two will live happy lives. Or not. Words that came out of Ash's mouth were completely different from what I had imagined. Is anything wrong? No, I'm sorry. With all due respect, I was sure you hated Lady Violet, Sir Ash. Your words were so unexpected, I was taken aback. Yes, I haven't forgiven her for what she has done. And I would never take her side. However, in response to my brutally honest words, Ash gave me a gentle smile unlike his scary smile from before, and replied. I'm not such a bad person that I would deny a woman's happiness. Who do I want to protect with this sword? Oh, that person hasn't come to Shiki, but she's a wonderful girl. I'm going to hone my skill so I won't lose to Ash and His Highness. Those were Chartreuse's words. It doesn't feel like she refers to Ms. Kriemhild, at least. I wonder if he was able to acquire his sword technique that can only be achieved in his route or the true route thanks to that wonderful girl. By the way, Ms. Kriemhild only calls Chartreuse by his nickname, which is reserved for his close friends due to her bright personality. Thus, she calls him Cher as though it was the natural thing to do. On the other hand, Chartreuse calls Miss Kriemhild by her last name out of concern for the girl he wants to protect. By the way, Baron. Will you spar with me? Why? I saw that you aren't an ordinary person. When you kicked away that orc. Please cooperate with me for the sake of my sword path. This damn battle freak. Is fighting the only thing on your mind? Later I'll ask Ash to take over. Or rather, what's the use of fighting when you're going back to the academy? Are you planning to catch up to them by running later? It's scary because I feel like he'd actually say it. I'm sorry, Sir Chartreuse. The one that kicked that orc away was actually a power called the Great God Ibuki. It temporarily gives me powers by manipulating curses and I can't use it unless something serious happens. In truth, I'd actually just enhance my leg strength. My current physical abilities aren't much different from when I was a teen in my previous life. As expected, I'm not strong enough to kick an orc away without any help. Still, body strengthening can be used immediately and he might ask me to duel him right this moment. Due to the difference in our status, it would be hard to refuse him. So I thought I'd make up something randomly to evade him, but... I see. Then it can't be helped. I look forward to the day we'll eventually fight. This future Knight Commander candidate really believed me. Well, there's certainly magic that can transform mystical things like that into power, but isn't he a bit too gullible? He didn't pull back because he sensed that I was hesitant, but rather because he believed me. I'm sorry. Perhaps when another chance arises one day. Yeah, I'll be in your care that time. Oh, right. I'm actually scheduled to fight that sister after this. Would you like to come too, Baron? Pardon. What is this guy talking about? That sister's pretty capable as well. I've got Ash's permission to spar with her once before we go back to the academy. Ha, I'm looking forward to it. Please wait a minute. By sister you mean Cyan. You're going to fight Cyan. There are no other sisters in the area, right? Man, with people like the blacksmith and Lady Apricot, I can't help but think that Shiki is a good place. It's this time already. Well then, I'm off to the dueling ground. I will be going ahead. Please wait a minute. Chartreuse left at a great speed as I remained still. Were you looking forward to it that much, you bastard? Judging from the direction where he's going, they'll probably fight in front of the church. Rather, why wasn't I told about this? Was Ash's "please be happy" a lie? So he'll still harass me regardless. Mr. CLO, tell me more about that great god Ibuki. Can I use it too? Shit, another pain in the ass appeared too. I want to ask Chartreuse a little more about this person who he wants to protect, so why is everybody getting in my way? Is this some divine intervention by powers that be? Are they telling me that I have no right to know about the game scenario? Author's note. He's wrong. Chapter 62, Arising Emotions. Two kinds of protagonists could be found in light novels. The kind with little to no personality, thereby making it easier for players to insert themselves into the story. The kind with an overbearing personality, coupled with a storyline between the protagonist and their love interests that players can enjoy. As my sister would say, the two kinds can be distinguished as, experience it yourself or revere the characters. In The Ring of Fire, the protagonist belongs to the latter category. If the protagonist had no personality, the event pictures would end up with the protagonist wearing a blank expression. Instead, all event pictures had proper expressions and the choices were also very quirky. The actions and words of the protagonist's personality charms the love interests and their fates intertwined. At a certain stage, the protagonist would even duel with High Highness Vermilion. Despite being allies, saying, "I respect you. I'm not your inferior. I wish to be your equal and walk alongside you. Which is why I'm giving it all I got." Uttering cool lines like that, the protagonist would try to throw a punch at some instances. If such a character was labeled as having no personality, then the majority of protagonists would end up being bland. Though there are hard times, there are fun times as well. Living in Shiki is not too bad. I see. Home is where you make it, as they say. At present, a girl with a strong personality as the protagonist was happily listening to Lady Violet speak. I was thinking of asking her about the other alchemist mage. I wanted to check out how different she was from the girl I knew, but it was really hard to break the ice, let alone get any information out of her. I've been the only one talking. Simply listening to me go on about my life must be boring. Not at all. Hearing you recount your tales with so much excitement is infectious, so I'm having fun. Really? I have to say you're not only a good talker, but a good listener as well. You think so? Seeing the two of them talking animatedly, they didn't look in the least on bad terms. Committing deeds high society would find appalling, envious of her closeness with her beloved prince and being unable to bear it any longer, she bids farewell to the world. I could see none of those emotions between the two. They are genuinely very close friends. Sorry. I'm a bit busy settling affairs after the Rivers incident. I hope you won't mind if I step away for a moment. Yeah. That's okay. Sorry. There are things that must be kept confidential in cases like these. Of course. But you give off the air of a woman who can get the job done, and I find that cool. Lady Violet chucked and replied, "Aw shucks, Miss Creamhild," and bid her goodbye with a thumbs up. All right. Miss Creamhild is alone now. I can probably try to strike up a conversation with her now. But I don't know. I feel like it makes me look really suspicious to sneak a conversation with a woman alone. If Lady Violet were to see us, she may think we were having an affair or a tryst. I should wrap it up quickly. Miss Creamhild, may I have a moment of your time? Yes. Ah, Mr. CLO. Hello. Miss Creamhild recognized my face and greeted me with a smile. I really doubt her claims of being unpopular. Though, I wonder if there are many that misunderstand her friendly nature. In the story, His Highness and the others protected her though. Incidentally, she began calling me by my name as my surname overlapped with Lady Violet's, which led to me going by first name basis too. This is how we started referring to each other casually. Let me thank you once again for being such good friends with my wife. I couldn't be more happy that my wife had such a good friend by her side in the academy. Not at all. I'm the one who should be grateful that a duke's daughter made friends with a commoner like me. Is something wrong? What's with the incomprehensible expression you're making while looking at me? It's nothing. I was simply touched that Lady Violet had a friend of her age. Please continue to be friends with her. Of course, that's the plan, but is that really so touching? I was of the impression that she'd had no friends at the academy. I'm guessing Lady Violet back then didn't have the most pleasant of personalities. Besides His Highness, I suppose she was on speaking terms with Ash and Chartreuse too, but that's probably as far as their relationship went. But she was always surrounded by many students, you know. This is just my guess, but if I were to give them a name, it would be followers. Ahaha. Miss Creamhild couldn't disagree, so she just laughed drily. Yeah, that's why I'm touched. There's certainly a lot of things I don't know. Like the identity of her dual partner, but I'm happy to stand corrected in regards to her having had someone she could call a friend at the academy. At the risk of offending you, do you mind if you ask you something? No problem. Go ahead. At my approval, Miss Creamhild looked as if my face had sparked a memory in her and asked, subdued. Have you been taking advantage of the fact that Violet is innocent to teach her something perverted? I haven't. I have to give it to her for being gutsy enough to ask a noble something like that, even if I'm only a noble in name. In the game Ring of Fire, it's true that there was one ending where they hinted at Lady Violet's suffering at the hands of a pervert, but I want to clarify that I haven't done anything of the sort. Forgive me. Violet is innocent and she can also be clumsy, so I was worried that she might be pulled into doing something weird. So even Miss Creamhild had the same opinion of her. It's quite alright. It's only natural that you're concerned. I'm aware that I don't have a stellar reputation, and if my friend married such a man, anyone would be worried. If we're talking about the capital, then I'm sure there's more than one unsavory rumor circulating about me. Well, not like I can say my reputation here is that solid either. When anyone learns that their friend had left for a place like that, of course they'd be worried. So I'd be glad if the conversation she had earlier had quelled her worries even just a little. Well, I'm worried that the next time I meet Violet, she'll be wearing a cloak and laughing out loud, or get excited at the sight of a wound, or ingest poison of her own volition, or have a mechanical body like Robot. Why are you looking away? Shit. I find it hard to deny any of that. I'm frustrated that settling into Shiki means that you become perverted in one way or another. Perhaps. That's being a pervert means. Surely. Not. Ahaha, but I'm glad that she appears happy. Please continue to treat her well. Saying so, Miss Creamhild smiled as she wished us happiness. Her eyes that were looking up due to the difference in our height and her smile that lit up her whole face had quite the charm. But, I don't know why. For some reason, I felt a sense of déjà vu, or rather that something was off with her smile. A smile that made me wonder if she really did normally smile that way. However, it was just a smile after all. I think everything looked suspicious only because I doubted her before. Oh, right. Mr. CLO. I thought you needed something from me. Oof, I wonder if she found it fishy that I went out of my way to come here to talk to her, for she had a curious look on her face. I cleared my throat, and after checking that no one was within earshot, I asked Miss Creamhild, at a volume only she could hear, about the duel. Or rather, about the opponent of the duel that I didn't know of. About the person Lady Violet dueled against. I'm sure you'd agree it's a little awkward to ask about that to the people directly involved. Miss Creamhild nodded, folded her arms, looking convinced. After a brief struggle to find the right words, she unfolded her arms and spoke about that girl. She was also a pupil of my master and learned alchemy magic from him. She's also well versed in other types of magic, with both her physical abilities and alchemy magic being second to none. She's very beautiful and popular at the academy. Should I say, I knew it. After all, this information makes it certain that something was amiss. The reason there are only a few alchemy mages is because you need the specific talent for it, and also since it is almost obsolete, there are very few left with the knowledge to teach anyone. In our kingdom, there is no one who professionally practices alchemy magic. Moreover, Miss Creamhild's master has a difficult personality and rarely takes in a disciple, and even she was only taught the basics in her childhood. Even taking a pupil was supposed to be unusual for him. After all, her master was described to be eccentric, and she was described as his only disciple. But if that girl really was taught by the same master, then is this world simply only similar to the game, Ring of Fire? After all, the same events may not necessarily repeat. Or, by the way, is that girl good friends with His Highness Vermilion, Lord Ash, Lord Chartreuse? And even the son of the Forsyths? Yes. She is indeed close with all the people you just mentioned. I see. The Forsyth in question is called Eccles Forsyth, the eldest son of the Count Forsyth and also one of the love interests in the game Ring of Fire. All the people I mentioned are prominent figures at the academy, and if that girl is really so remarkable, then it should be no surprise that they would have crossed paths. All I've heard is stories about her, and I don't know anything for certain, but her actions, or rather, her circumstances, are suspicious no matter how I look at them. This is something I heard from staff at the academy, but did she by chance fall into the lake at the academy with His Highness while the class was still in session, get rescued after being attacked by a wounded B-class monster some distance away from the academy, slap Lord Ash? Was that girl the one involved in all these incidents? Yes. That's her all right. That brings back memories. Perhaps that girl is the same as me, a reincarnator. Examples of choices when the protagonist has a strong personality: 3 choices. Fight. Sneak into his bedroom. Sneak into his bath. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.